What's up, everybody? Thursday night. I am back once again. Week is almost over, everybody. The week is almost over. And that's a good sign. That's a good sign. I am Don Tony, and I want to thank you all for tuning in. Man, what is it? Today's the 14th of January. It's amazing that we're only... Well, it's kind of amazing that we're already half done with January, if you think of it like that. It's also amazing that we're only 14 days into January, and it feels like 3 months worth of stuff has gone on. I mean, you look at what's happening in pro wrestling, you see what's happening in the world, you see what's happening with news and sports and cancel culture and just, oh my God. And next Wednesday, you know, the president-elect, Joe Biden, is going to be inaugurated. And believe me when I tell you, there's a lot of threats going on. And honestly, you know, violence is never the answer. I know a lot of this stuff has been building for years and years and years. You know, you could see the politicians, you know, look, what happened last Wednesday, I have 1,000% against it, completely. Everyone who was involved should be prosecuted to the furthest extent of the law. But if you just think back at the summertime, and again, I'm not talking about the protests that happened during the day, I'm talking about the riots that happened at night. So many of these politicians didn't say a goddamn word. But when it happens in their own backyard, it's 9/11 all over again. Trump is recruiting people like bin Laden recruited people. Out of here. Seriously. I didn't vote for Trump last year in November. And there's a lot of things about him that I don't like, period. But these politicians, man, everything's about politics. What happened to the $2,000 checks that they said that, oh, they're going to get this and get that? It's their form of the formula that I always talk about with social media. But look, tonight is Thursday, which means it's your show. And I am here basically just relaying communications. Whatever is on your mind tonight, let's chat for a little while. Could be wrestling, could be movies, news. I heard Screech has been diagnosed with stage 4 cancer, but we don't know what type of cancer it is, so you got to keep him in your prayers. You know, growing up, I was not a big fan of Saved by the Bell. I'm not going to lie. I mean, there was just something about Mario Lopez. I just went, that blonde-haired guy. What was the blonde-haired guy? And by the way, let me know if there's any buffering issues tonight, because I decided to go on the wild side. I put the buffer all the way down so your responses are almost instantaneous. I don't have to sit here like a goof waiting 9 seconds. Already there's about 500 comments about Zach Morris. That was his name. I never liked him either. Honestly, no joke, I never wished violence on them. But I always wanted, just like Vanilla Ice might have been the only other person at the time. But Zach Morris, like if there was ever like a Saved by the Bell like picnic and I was invited or I had friends that were going, I wanted to go up to Zach Morris and just go like this. And just mess his hair up, seriously. Kelly was hot. All the women were hot. I thought all the women were cute. And, you know, similar in age, you know, maybe a couple of years younger, but I never liked that show. Even the principal got on my nerves. Belichick, whatever his name was. But, yeah, rest in peace, Shabba-Doo. Absolutely, man. You know, 2021, you know, it's amazing how many people you have seen written on social media over the last 2 weeks that 2021 is no different than 2020. What'd you think? There was a magic pill? I mean, this is what we talked about New Year's Eve. This is what EC3 and everybody else is talking about. People out there honestly thought that when the clock struck midnight on New Year's Eve, that somehow things were going to get better. Suddenly, cancer culture was not going to be like it was before. Now we heal. Now we get together. What are you, in the Twilight Zone? Seriously, keep wishing that. Keep wishing that. Oh, Dahak. For those that don't know, Tuesday, Mish and I did our show for our Patreon family. And after the show was over, we spent about 2 to 3 hours in the Patreon Discord chat. And I went into my old hard drive from 20 years ago and found loads of intros, loads of old school stuff that hasn't been heard in 15 years plus. And I have a piece of audio that I'm going to share with you later on. If anybody tuned in, and I know Dahak did the other day, if anybody tuned in Tuesday, the Lenny Barr call, it's wild. We'll do that later on. We'll do it later when everybody's relaxed and we hit the lull and we have to talk about, something, or we just call it a night. But, I just want to shout everybody out who is tuning in, especially those live. I know Thursday night is not the greatest night to do a show, but, I really appreciate everybody who is here tonight. And guess what? Tonight we're going to do a little contest. I had a friend of mine, don't want to say who he is, he prefers to keep it on the low, sent me a little gift that I could give away on the show tonight. Now, if you're not a fan of these two people, then you could play for fun and give the prize to someone else you want in the chat room. But someone in the chat room tonight is going to win this dual autograph photos. What you see is what you get. You get an autograph photo of Karrion Kross. You get an autograph photo of Scarlett Bordeaux. You don't have to post in the comment section. We don't have to wait 1 or 2 weeks to do the contest. Somebody tonight will win that. I will give you a little hint of what the contest will be. I've never done these before. I've seen them and heard them done on other shows. Doesn't seem so hard, but I'm going to do Who Am I? It's going to be someone in wrestling, someone that you've seen on TV within the last year or two. In wrestling, who am I? And I basically wrote up 7 tidbits about this person's career, and I will go through them one by one, and whoever comes up with the name first will win the 2 photos. Pretty simple. We'll try it. We'll see how it goes. But, yeah. And by the way, I obviously cannot show these on YouTube. I will get in trouble. But I went into one of my hard drives Tuesday night that I haven't gone into probably in about 15 years. And I found, because I've always talked about it, and people used to always throw in my face, oh, if there's no video proof, then it didn't happen. Well, these are not adult rated. There's no nudity. But for everyone out there that always thought that I was BSing about some of the Candice Michelle videos that she did with foot fetishes and nudity and being tied up and all that stuff, some of you got to watch some of those films on Tuesday. It's nothing, that we would get in trouble for, But, yeah, I just figured I'd post it. Because I know there's a few people out there that never believed me when I talked about that stuff. Well, some people got to see it on Tuesday. Oh, Tony Atlas would love it. Tony Atlas would have passed out. He would, and that's it. He would have dropped so freaking quickly. So, Steve Joseph. What's up, Steve? Did John Gotti know about the wiretaps when he got arrested, or he just did not care? Okay. For some of you out there, I won't get into the whole thing because anybody that's a long-time listener, one of the cool things about enjoying my shows and supporting me for all of these years, you get to see things develop, morph, change, upgrade. We taken steps back without a doubt. But the negative side is that some of the stories that I tell, sometimes I have to repeat once in a while because we always have new listeners and they have no idea. So even though some people live or even on the archive are not on video right now, trust me, some of your friends in the chat room right now are going like this. They're muted. Well, they don't even have to mute it. I can't even hear them. Because I guarantee there's a few people, no. I promise you, short. My family was friends with the Gotti family. When I was 15 years old, I worked for a meat market called Trun's, Metropolitan Avenue, Middle Village, Queens, when I was 15 years old. John Gotti's nephew worked in the store also. And one day in the summertime, he said, you want to go to the bazaar on 101st Avenue? I know when I say bazaar, it sounds like bizarre. Like, oh, you're bizarre, But he's like, you want to go to the bazaar? I'm like, I don't know. I have to ask my mom. He was a little bit older than me. But my mom says, yeah, just be home by whatever time it was. So me, my friend Joey, and John Gotti's nephew, we go to the bazaar. He had a 79 Camaro at the time, which I ended up buying off him for like $200. There was rust on top of rust. It was garbage, but I always wanted to own a 70s Trans Am or a 70s Camaro, 70s Corvette as well. And that's still on my bucket list to have a Corvette. But we go there and we start walking down 101st Avenue. And anybody that's ever seen those documentaries about Gotti, he used to have a club, a coffee shop, like a little club in Ozone Park, Queens, that they play cards and do things. So he said, come on, I want you to meet some people. And he introduced us to a whole bunch of members of the family and others. And he says, tonight, you're an honorary member. Tonight. We sat down at a table outside, and I swear to you, one of my memories, and I'm 15 years old, and I still remember this to this day. I'm not proud of this. One of my memories is sitting at the table outside. We're dressed like Guidos, because you've seen some of the pictures of what I used to dress at 15 years old. And people would walk by. I remember Spanish people especially. You would have people walk by, and me and my friend Joey were just sitting there like, because that's actually, you know what? If you've seen my pictures in Italy in 1986, if you've seen some of the photos of me when I was a teenager, almost every pose, because this is what a lot of rappers did back then. Remember Run D? They'd be like this. So we would sit at the table like this. And I remember like a couple of Spanish girls, not all at the same time. They walk by and they'd be like this. And they just, we rubbed them the wrong way. But a couple of members of his family went to my wedding. Why does this feel like there's fingerprints on it? So anyway, long story short, was very familiar with the family. I have to post that photo of me in the Daily News back around 1988, I think it was, when he first got off, found not guilty of one of them. But the point, just to answer Steve's question, he had no idea he was being wiretapped. All I remember, and I don't want to do this from research, I want to do it from memory, but all I remember at that time was that where they had their meetings, like in whether it's a little restaurant or coffee shop or whatever it is, it was like the building was like commercial, residential. Top floors would be, residence homes, and the bottom would be commercial. And what would happen is they would walk upstairs into one of the residences and have their meetings there, because they always felt that no way that would be wiretapped, because these are just regular people and they really didn't have anything to do with the family. And one time, I believe a woman, she went away to visit family or something, and they went upstairs and they had wiretapped it. And because downstairs, and if you ever hear, even with other mobsters and stuff like that, when they're doing meetings in restaurants or coffee shops or areas that they socialize, it's not that they're hard of hearing. They're not deaf, but you hear loud, like Italian music, 70s, 60s, 50s music, loud. And that was to muffle out the sound. Because when they would blast the music, they weren't hard of hearing, and they weren't like, "You want to whack him? Do you want to?" No, they'd be like, but you wouldn't hear anything because of the music. They would go upstairs because it was quieter, and that's how they got caught. That is the truth. So, oh, thank you, Michael. Michael says I'm one of the best storytellers ever. I'm just telling it like it is, I mean, I it's not rehearsed. Never like it. Just being me. I know. I am guilty of going off the rails a lot, and that is one of the things that Mish. That's one of his goals, and that's one of his jobs in 2021. I don't really like to call it that way, but Mish hears this. Mish will be like, "Yeah, it's true." Mish, one of his most important jobs in 2021 is when I start going off the rails and like a 2-minute story seems like it might be a 20-minute story. That's when he interrupts and it'll be like, "Oh yeah, that's cool. Well, let's talk about CM Punk." And he'll just force the shift in the conversation. So, Austin, people have said to me a few times to write a book. I would love to, but I figure we could just talk here. I mean, I don't lie. See, that's one thing about people who lie. People who lie, because my father told me when I was a kid, don't lie. Because when you lie, you got to put a lie on top of 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 a lie. And sooner or later, you get caught. Because if you have a lie that's running for a year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, sooner or later, you slip up. And I've seen some people slip up royally in my lifetime. Not just social media, but in real life. I mean, people who have had their marriages totally ruined because of stupid lies. I've seen it on social media. I've had people, lie to my face, and try to keep the lie going. And me like a scumbag, I'm not going to lie. Me like a scumbag, when I know someone is lying to me, every so often I try to test them, catch them off guard. And I bring up something indirectly to the lie and to see if the person, cracks. And usually when someone gets angry, when you ask a simple question, that's when you know you got them. But I could lie through my teeth about stories. A lot of the stories I tell, some of it is entertaining and enjoyable. Some of it is boring. For me, it's not because I lived through it, but it comes off as boring. If I really wanted to exaggerate and make up shit, you think I would just say, "Oh, we were sitting at the coffee table on 101st Avenue and watching the girls walk by and giving us dirty looks." No, I would have exaggerated and said that, I lost my virginity. We went in a coffee shop and I got my cannoli, glazed. I don't need to lie. I don't need to lie. And that's why a lot of you out there who have supported me for decades, that's why you roll your eyes. Because the stories I tell now are almost word for word the stories I told 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 25 years ago. Because when you're telling the truth, you may forget over time little incidentals. And case in point, that Lenny phone call. It's driving me crazy trying to figure out who the two wrestlers were that was sitting with us. I mean, I remember Amy Vitale, just awesome woman. I don't know if she's still involved in wrestling. She's in Florida. I know she lost her mom to cancer a bunch of years ago. And, I actually donated to her campaign. She did a walkathon for cancer awareness in Florida. But she was with us. I never forget that Italian beauty. Plus she tried to play off of Vicky Gotti. Vicky Gotti was at my wedding. So do you remember things like that? But the two guys that were with us, I can't remember them. And I could swear one of them was dating her. So maybe one day, if our paths cross again, Amy and I could say to her, "Amy, you remember in 2004, we were at a bar and we called this weird guy by the name of Lenny on a hotline, trying to get him to, play pocket pool, say it nicely. Who are the two guys with us?" And she would know right away. So trust me, VJ, People have come up with names for Thursday like biscotti and bullshit. You know, that's where it's going, because I don't want the Thursday name to have my name in it, because we are going to have guests in the future, not just Mish, but other people as well. And I want the show to just be a general name. I thought about having wrestling in the title, but this show, we don't have to talk about wrestling. Thursday nights, anything goes. If we end up spending the whole night talking about everything but wrestling, that's fine. That's up to all of you out there hanging out. Don't glaze the cannoli. Yeah, I know. But that's where it's going. You're getting names like that. But so Dahak, thank you very much. The David and Goliath thing. I am going to repost that, because probably 90% of the people who still enjoy my shows probably have never heard that. We remember when Dixie Carter moved to Monday nights, and she tried to go head-to-head with WWE, and she posted a tweet about David versus Goliath, trying to play off that they were David and WWE was Goliath. And I did a mock sermon with organ music, and you had background noise of people sitting in the pew. You heard babies crying and everything. And we altered the microphone, and I told the true story about David versus Goliath. But I incorporated Vince and WWE as Goliath and Dixie and TNA as David. And by the end of the sermon, you realize Dixie Carter is just absolutely brain dead clueless. She had no idea the true story of David versus Goliath. Because the story of David versus Goliath wasn't trying to provoke anybody. You know, well, I should take that back. Goliath was provoking David, you know, and David obviously got revenge. You could even kind of put Darby Allin and Brian Cage as David versus Goliath, you know, and Darby Allin is David and Brian Cage is Goliath. The difference is with Vince McMahon and WWE, they weren't provoking David. They're just doing their own thing. And you have Dixie and Cookiegate and all that other stuff and trying to provoke and provoke and provoke and provoke. And basically Goliath was like, you know what, fuck this, and just stomped David, crushed him. So, did I like Godfather 3? David Joseph. I honestly, of all three Godfathers, I hated Godfather 3 the most. 1 was decent. 2 is my favorite of all time. 3, I just could not get into Al Pacino. There was some other characters in the movie I couldn't get into. And when they had that god-awful scene, I think on the court steps where his daughter got shot, and they actually like had no audio at all, like I thought there was something wrong with the tape. I just see Al Pacino like this. And I'm like, what the fuck is the sound? I hate it. I don't want to say I hated it, but I did not like Godfather 3. Believe it or not, and some of you know this already, but I never liked The Irishman that came out recently. I tried so hard to enjoy that movie, and it felt so forced. It felt like because of Goodfellas, because of Casino, that Francis Ford Coppola or they insisted that they needed to do another mob film. It felt so forced. It was a mess. They did so much computer technology to try to make them. I think I got to about 40% into the film. I wasn't halfway through. I was about a little more than a third way through. And I was like, I can't. Seriously, I can't. Even if I was in jail and the only movie I could watch is The Irishman, I'd rather just count like the specks on the wall, the dust on the wall, the dust particles. I didn't like The Irishman at all. Did not like it. Did not like it whatsoever. Richard says there's a new cut of the film. Are you talking Godfather 3? A new cut? Because I always, you know what? If you're talking about Godfather 3, I'll give it a chance. But 3 was my least favorite of them all. But yeah, I know, Steven, they waited 16 years to do Godfather 3. I don't mind things taking that long. I'll tell you the truth. I want to see the sequel to Coming to America with Arsenio Hall and Eddie Murphy. Because when that movie first came out, we had the opportunity to watch them film, you know, where they did McDowell's. Believe it or not, for those that don't know, McDowell's, which was the spoof of McDonald's, that was filmed on Queens Boulevard in my neighborhood. And here's a little wrestling tidbit about this. And many people don't know this. McDowell's from Coming to America was filmed almost directly across the street from the Elks Lodge, which was the madhouse of extreme, where ECW, towards the end of their run, the original ECW, when they would have shows in Queens, New York, the Elks Lodge, McDowell's was almost directly across the street from where ECW was doing their shows. All right, so Richard says the movie is called Godfather 3, Coda, The Death of Michael Corleone. You know what? I'll give it a shot. I don't mind checking that out. Michael is asking me, what is my favorite Al Pacino movie of all time? You know, Scent of a Woman, I enjoyed, but Al Pacino for me always is gangster. You know, that's how I always like. Scarface, believe it or not, when Scarface came out in 1982, I believe it was, like, I saw it in the movie theaters. And when they had that scene, that I think there was like a chainsaw or something, honestly, and it was weird because my grandmother at the time would take me to all the horror films, all the gory-ass films, and I would sit there and watch them. I had to go get popcorn or something. And the first time I saw Scarface, I did not like it all that much. I watched it again about 6 months later, and then I really enjoyed it. So maybe Scarface. But Al Pacino, you know what? When Al Pacino was, not The Expendables. The Expendables is a cartoon. What was that movie where he played Al Capone? Somebody will know. And like I said, I don't have to wait 9 seconds for the name. By the way, shout out to Mighty Mighty. Mighty Mighty. That's a name you've heard me shout out here before. He is right now in Singapore, and I'm kind of envying that. It's 11:30 a.m. right now. So over here, it's 10:30 p.m. I got to get up early. Today's the last day that I'm bird sitting for a little while because my parents flew back into New York tonight. Carlito's Way was another excellent movie. Excellent movie. Heat was good as well. No, Dick Tracy was not it. No. The Untouchables, yes. Did I say Untouchables before? Oh, I said The Expendables. No, The Untouchables. The Untouchables. But wait a minute. No, wait, De Niro was Al Capone. What am I saying? No, forget that. Carlito's Way is now starting to bring back some memories. Carlito's Way was excellent, too. Yeah, I would say Godfather 2 is always my favorite with Pacino. Godfather 2 will always be my favorite with Pacino. But a close second and third, Carlito's Way, Scent of a Woman, Heat is another good one. Darren says racist. Who's racist? Who's being racist? But I think he's joking about somebody else over here. But yeah, Scarface, that was pretty whack, man. But, hey, if it wasn't for Scarface, we would never have gotten the Razor Ramon character. Razor Ramon probably would have been more like real life for Scott Hall, bouncer in a club, but instead we got kind of like Tony Montana. So, can't show any hate for that. Dog Day Afternoon. Look, when you think about it, Al Pacino's had an awesome resume. It's a shame to see so many people in Hollywood. I don't care and I don't mind what political affiliation that they have, but when they don't get what they want, that's when they show up on social media with these PSAs, and they almost make you feel like an outcast if you don't go with them and this and that. And then once the person is elected that they wanted, they disappear. They disappear. Look at how many people have disappeared since then. I mean, some of them have reappeared because obviously they want Trump's head now. But it's like, for me, a lot of my favorite actors are the ones where you have no idea what their political affiliation is. Seriously. Steven DeSantis, shout out to you, my friend. Got the vaccine yesterday. That is awesome. How are you feeling? How are you feeling? Because me, I just realized something. Why do I have a pop-out live chat and a regular chat going at the same time? Why does that kind of seems like a recipe for disaster? So let me do this. Let me take this yeah, there we go. We take the second chat, and because I just noticed, like, I'm looking at it, I'm like, all right, I don't have Twitch and YouTube going at the same time, and I see a chat room here and a chat room here. I'm like, that's where you run into problems. So Grand Theft Auto, inspired by Scarface. Grand Theft Auto, oh my God. It's amazing how many years have gone by since Grand Theft Auto. I still remember driving out to Long Island because that's where I would get my games. You know what's funny? I was talking to somebody today because I had mentioned the other day, a lot of people don't know that we used to have a video game store here in my neighborhood called Video Game Central. And if you think that I'm exaggerating, do a Google search. Type in Video Game Central and then type in my name and see what comes up. Brock Lesnar did an autograph signing in 2005. Randy Orton did an autograph signing, I think, in 2005. John Cena did an autograph signing in 2004. Edge did an autograph signing in 2005. And I was heavily involved with all of the autograph signings. And just to show you, just forward thinking, and again, there is proof online. If you Google it, you'll find it. Brock Lesnar was the one where I made the most money. Brock Lesnar was just becoming a big thing in WWE. This was 2004 around. He was doing an autograph signing for Video Game Central in Howard Beach. And my idea was, why do we only have the people waiting online in person to meet Brock Lesnar or Randy Orton or John Cena and get autographs? Why don't I put it online and offer for people online that don't live in New York, that don't have the capability of going to meet them in person, that if you pay me X amount of dollars, whatever it is, I will get an autographed photo for you, personally signed by whoever it was, and I will ship it to you. And I must have had about 200 or 300 orders for Brock Lesnar photos. In fact, if anyone out there that still communicates with my former podcast host, Kevin Castle, he will tell you that when I hung out with Brock Lesnar and got the autograph signing done, I got him a custom photo. I think I got him one of, I don't know if it was Trish Stratus, because she was there too. But that was an idea that I came up with in 2004, that people that lived out of state, now you see it online. What is it? Virtual autograph signings. Send your wrestling stuff to us and we'll have it signed for you and then we'll ship it back. I didn't go to that extent back then, but I will tell you, it was pretty surreal hanging out with some of these people. And my God, look at all these years later and see, where their careers have gone. So it was pretty amazing. It was pretty amazing. Let's see. Yeah, no, Brock, I'll tell you the truth, man. I met Brock over there, Randy Orton, John Cena, Edge, Trish Stratus, Jerry the King Lawler was another one. And there's someone else that's escaping me right now. But I'll tell you, out of all the people that I met, John Cena I thought was the coolest, believe it or not. This was when he was still doing Thuganomics stuff, right before they started going kid-friendly on WWE television. But Randy Orton was actually pretty cool. And Brock Lesnar, you'd be surprised. all I remember with Brock Lesnar is him going out of a limo, having like protein bars and drinks and this and that. And he was at the table and he was socializing. If you had a couple of sexy ladies show up, you know, there was a couple of glances thrown their way, but he was pretty damn cool, believe it or not. So, but yeah, if you do a Google search and type in that store in my name, you'll see it come up. So, Eddie Valentino says that our video does live streams for virtual autographs. Look, I think it's a great idea. Shaheen Nuclear Graphics does it too. I mean, look what happened to Mick Foley. I mean, you know, I love Mick Foley to death. We totally disagree on politics and other social issues, but I love that man to death. But, you know, I said it jokingly 2 weeks ago. You're going to get COVID. And by the way, DeSanta, I didn't forget about you. Now I'm looking in the chat room. Forgive me if you already wrote it. Please, again, how do you feel since you got the shot yesterday? Because, you know, my doctor has prepared my parents and I what to expect. But because for those that don't know, I'm getting the vaccine this Tuesday. Myself, my mom, and my dad are going Tuesday, 3:30 in the afternoon. I don't think I could document any of it live. I'm not taking a chance of somebody saying, like, you're recording? Get out of here. You know, it's too important to get this vaccine. But, you know, that's a big deal. That's a big deal for me. But, so I'm just waiting for him. I'm very curious to see how he feels today. But Michael asks, another Michael Gonzalez, do I think Cena is underappreciated by most wrestling fans? Honestly, now, no. I truly believe that the years that John Cena has really broke away from pro wrestling, his social media footprint and how, you know, just all, I know his quotes are like inspirational and this and that, but, you know, you get to see more of the real Cena. Like, for a while, a lot of us wondered, is Cena more like Thugonomics Cena? Is he more like G-rated Cena? Is he somewhere in between? Now, when I met him for the autograph signing, I mean, he was only on TV for a very short period of time. Very, very cool with everybody. But you see Cena now, and you appreciate him a little bit more. I mean, honestly, it's sad when you realize that sometimes people become bigger sort of baby faces or accepted when they leave for a little bit. You know, that's that old saying, absence makes the heart grow fonder, something like that. And, you know, with Cena being gone the last bunch of years, yes, a lot of us really could not stand Super Cena. Hell, a lot of people seem to forget. You know, everybody, well, not everybody, but a lot of people now think that Roman Reigns is one of the greatest of all time. They kind of forget the first 4 to 5 years of how we all felt about Roman Reigns on TV. Not all of it was his fault, but a lot of people seem to forget how horrendous he was with promos and forcing the issue with him being the guy. Man, that backfired for 4 fucking years. You know, as sad as it sounds, him leaving because of health issues, you know, helped him tremendously because it gave a human aspect behind the wrestler himself. And we all know that everybody are human beings when everything's said and done. But with Cena, there is an appreciation for Cena now that honestly, it's rare when to see someone dissing the guy or criticizing the guy. So no, I don't think he is underappreciated at all. I think the opposite. I think, you know, probably one of the best things that happened to Cena before he stepped away was when he was doing his challenge with the U.S. title, when he fought Kevin Owens and he fought Sami Zayn and he had those couple of matches with AJ Styles and others. John Cena was pulling out moves that we had not seen in years and years and years and years. When I remember specific matches that John Cena had with some of those guys, that tells you that something was not only right, but fucking awesome. Were they 5-star matches? No. But Cena, that really set this tone of how everybody beloves John Cena right now, in my opinion. So, no, Jim, the heel turn did not get Roman Reigns over. Roman Reigns was over when he came back from the illness. The problem is they really did not have the right formula to get him to the next level. They tried with Braun. They tried with Bray. They tried with other people. And it's just something was missing. And yes, the heel turn now is fabulous. A lot of people seem to forget Roman Reigns was also a heel when he first came in. But here's the thing. If COVID never happened, a lot of what you saw wouldn't have happened either. They would not have had such a psychological match with him versus Jey Uso where you could have heard them burp under their breath. The live mic, if you had live fans in attendance, it would have drowned out everything. Roman Reigns literally would have had to have held the mic and say, Jay, just say I quit. That's how you would have done it. That's why all I quit matches always have a mic right in their mouths. It's not just for visual, but with the crowd and how loud it is, it drowns out a lot of it. So, COVID obviously hurt us as wrestling fans. It hurt us in a lot of ways. But as far as wrestling, it hurt wrestling big time. But it also forced changes to compensate for it, and that helped Roman Reigns' development as a heel tremendously. Dream 101, what's going on, man? What is up? Dream 101. By the way, if you see me rotating, I have my sparkling water here. I also have fat water. It's like a Gatorade. It's hype. I ordered it. Anybody that's on keto, if you ever go on that bulletproof website, don't order this. It's a waste of money. It's like a expensive, cheap Gatorade, if that makes sense. It's very, very cheap in quality, and it's expensive. It's not worth it. So, it's funny you say that, Jeremiah. What's my favorite Zevia drink? For those that don't know, Zevia is diet soda, but a lot of people don't know that NutraSweet and the artificial sweeteners are in diet sodas. And look, I don't preach diet to everyone out there. I just give you a little input of what I do, what I've learned. I don't tell you to do something. You do what you want to do. But I've learned that the artificial sweeteners in like Diet Coke, Diet Pepsi, things like that, cause tremendous amounts of inflammation. It is proven scientific fact. Zevia is a diet soda that has no artificial colors, no artificial flavors, but it also only uses stevia, which is an artificial sweetener, but it does not affect your sugar level, and it doesn't cause inflammation. So it's all natural. It's a little more expensive than a regular diet soda, but it's something you got to get used to. But today, first time ever, I tried Dr. Stevia, which would be for everyone else the equivalent of Dr. Pepper. And I think it's outrageous. I freaking love that. I mean, my favorite also is ginger ale, but I had a Dr. Stevia tonight for the first time, and I'm already hooked. Honestly, I would have had it here now, but I get very thirsty because I got 6 lights on right now. It gets hot in here, and then when you talk all week, and I yap and yap and yap and yap, whether it's here, office, and I get my throat and my mouth get extremely dry. if I brought that over, I have to drink 6 to 8 of them just to feel like I'm quenched. But Austin Nance, you're very welcome, my friend. Sterling says his sugar level was 19 a few minutes ago. Gotta make it go. Yeah, man. Shit. 19. Wow. I'm just actually like letting that sink in a little bit. Yeah, you gotta bring that down a little. Are you diabetic? I just, believe it or not, I just got my blood work done. And, because my cholesterol medicine had run out. I think I told some of you this like 2 weeks ago. And I called the doctor's office for a refill. And they're like, oh, you got to come in and get blood work. All right, no problem. When do you want me to come in? We'll book you 3 weeks from now. Okay. Well, fill my prescription in the meantime because I have no cholesterol medicine. Oh, no, we can't fill it until you come in. But you're telling me not to come in for 3 weeks. What am I going to do for 3 weeks? So they didn't fill my medicine. So like, fuck it. I didn't take it for 3 weeks. So they did my blood work and it came back. My cholesterol level was 122. I think the normal is like 190. So I'm like, so I don't need cholesterol medicine anymore. And she's like, well, take it a little bit longer. So they just freaking filled it on me. But, all my blood work was good. The only thing that was elevated was my vitamin B level. And I got an issue here that I know a lot of you are aware of, that sometimes if I turn a certain way on my left, something pops out underneath my rib cage. You actually feel like a little bulge. It's almost like I have a second penis, but a baby penis that if it gets, not baby as in child. I mean, like somebody, like a podcaster, an anonymous podcaster that has a little peepee like this. It looks like that. Or, no, we can't use her. She's deceased. Somebody with a big clitoris. Clitoris. You feel it over here. And I'm like, and you touch it. And if there's something bulging out, I'm convinced I have a hernia here that's undiscovered. I had a CAT scan, an MRI already done. No, CAT scan and ultrasound. They found nothing. So when I went to my doctor a couple of days ago, you saw I put the picture where I had the 2 wrong shoes on. They sent me up for another ultrasound, another CAT scan. But I'm not doing it until after I get the vaccine. The vaccine is, I know, I was going to say China. I'm not going to lie. We love China. She obviously had a lot of problems in the final years of her life, but, I got to talk to some of her closest friends and relatives after she passed. Some of them gave me so much knowledge about that fucking, I compare it to Anna Nicole Smith, that enabler that basically would get Anna Nicole Smith whatever drug she wanted and this and that. I will tell you this with the utmost honesty. I don't say it on shows, and I don't name that person because I was always afraid I would be sued. I'm just telling you straight out. This person has threatened some people privately that if you start name dropping him and make some wild accusations, he will sue you. And honestly, I'm not worried, but I don't want to go through the annoyance of having to hire a lawyer, even to just write a letter and try to get something dismissed. Lawyers charge hundreds of dollars an hour sometimes. That's why, I carry insurance for the shows that I do. A lot of people don't know that. I'm not talking just dental and vision insurance. I have insurance that's like errors and omissions, that if any company or anybody out there ever tries to sue me saying that, like you see what happened with Joey Ryan and he tried to sue, what's that guy, Pel Primo, I think his name is. I always think of Bell Biv DeVoe when I think of his name. Pel Primo. Pel Primo had to get a lawyer. It cost money. So I have insurance that if like a Joey Ryan ever tried to sue me, okay, let the insurance company handle it. But it's not cheap either. But, you do shows like this, you always got to worry. Luckily, the only person that ever tried to sue me was this Captain Lenny. If anybody was on Patreon Tuesday Night Late, you heard him. The guy used to run a hotline here in New York. For those that are here right now, that were with me Tuesday, should I play it now? The Captain Lenny audio for everybody? This guy used to have a wrestling hotline back in the 2000s, And the guy, this is how weird it is. The guy, and I'm not saying this bragging either, the guy idolized me. And to the point that when I basically told him to fuck off, he actually got a lawyer and tried to sue me. And the Masked Maniac, which a lot of you remember, Frank Goodman, USA Pro Wrestling, UXW, Masked Maniac had him on as a guest and had me on also. I have that whole episode recorded still. And you hear this guy like saying that he's suing me. He's taking me to court and this and that. But meanwhile, he idolized me. Oh, wait, all the S's? Is that you want to hear it? All right. You want to hear something weird? I'll share with you. It's about 10 minutes long. You could, maybe this is your time if you want to go get something to drink, could take a leak. But I got to warn you, this audio is from a cell phone and is primitive. It is almost 20 years old. It's not like podcasts from now. It's telephone audio. There's no bass. I didn't try to manipulate the sound quality, but let me paint the picture for everybody out there. When I started my wrestling hotline in 1997, there were quite a few wrestling hotlines as well. In the early 2000s, my hotline got so big, I told you, I got that opportunity to work for ECW for a little bit, pushing tickets and other stuff. Then I ended up getting the opportunity to work for XPW, did all their bus trips. And even to this day, Shane Douglas always, like, oh, did Blasey still do bus trips? That's how successful they were. I take pride. I truly take pride, seriously. I take pride knowing that XPW, when they went to Philly and did all their shows in Philly in 2002 and 2003, almost half, and some cases more than half, of everybody you see in the ECW arena were from my bus trips. They're legendary. If any of you out there that's ever been on a Ring of Honor bus trip, a CZW bus trip, an MLW bus trip, and they would have something where they would have a wrestler get on the bus and answer Q&A, I swear I will never do another show ever again. And this is not to toot my own horn, but how serious I am. That came from me. Because in 2002, when XPW had me do all the bus trips, I said, look, I have an idea. I'd like to have one wrestler come on the bus and answer Q&A for everybody. Or what if there's 3 buses? So we have 3 different people, or we have them rotate and take turns. So like, yeah, no problem. So we had Vic Crimes on the bus. We had Chris Candido, God rest his soul, on one of the buses. We had Sonny on one of the buses, Daphne on one of the buses. And that was originally me. And I don't mind other people, but a lot of people, that's why people say you should write a book with all the things that went on. But, all right, so just to set it up, my hotline blew up, got very big. There was this one guy named Captain Lenny, who was a very weird, he's still alive, by the way. He had to have been, I would say, in his 60s in the early 2000s. So he's got to be in his 80s now. He was heterosexual, he was homosexual, I could care less, but he was very, very weird and very perverted. So one day, after an indie wrestling event, I don't remember which event it was. I don't remember what I did there or whatever else. I went to a bar afterwards, and we were sitting at a bar. It was me, Amy Vitale, and 2 other male wrestlers. I don't remember their names. Maybe when some of you hear them now, maybe you'll recognize the voice, but they were obviously doing impersonations too. So they listened to I don't think Amy did, but the other 2 guys were big fans of my hotline. They knew about Captain Lenny and knew how weird he was. So I said, you want me to call him? And I'll record it. Now remember, this is 2004. So at that time, there were no iPhones. There were no smartphones. So to even be able to record this in a bar on speakerphone is almost impossible. Have you ever heard anybody else do that? So the whole idea of the phone call was to get him to masturbate on the phone. Guy in his 60s who have claimed whacked out shit with dogs. We tried to get him to masturbate. And this is the results of that phone call. But it's funny because when you hear him, he's watching WWE Velocity at the time, and he wants to keep talking to me. And he even mentions Video Game Central because, like I said earlier, it's cool. It's actually pretty cool that it all fell into place. All right, now before I play the audio, I got to answer two things. Actually, you know what, Roger Rubio, yours, I'll answer right after the audio because I really like your question about the COVID subject. But Anthony Diaz, weirder than you. I'll let you decide. So, oh my God, and I'm shocked that I have stuff like this, but I have hours and hours of whacked out audio that for some reason 20 years ago I said, let me record all this stuff. And who'd have ever thought that all these years later we can enjoy it? So here you go. I present to you Lenny.
The following is rated D for dog.
Hello.
Hey, hold on a second,
Yeah,
buddy.
so check this out. I'm watching Nick Sen and Tony Cilantro, two scrubs on Velocity. See, I like to report Velocity on my line.
Lenny.
Yeah.
Lenny, how are you doing, my friend?
All right. Who's Nick? Who's this guy on Velocity, this new broadcaster, which I got to ask Anthony. I know, but he's a wrestling expert, Anthony. I want to ask him who this guy Romero is on Velocity. Who's in there now? Huh?
He's the Havana Pitbulls, baby. I'm touching myself right now.
I know Duke the Pitbull Snyder. Do you know him?
I know Duke the Pitbull Snyder.
Yeah, he once hung out with Elliot Marin.
Oh, he's the friend of Chris Michaels.
No. You know the Pitbull? He knows me.
He knows you?
Yeah, the Pitbull.
Can you tell me about you being in the shower again? I was getting excited.
No, do you know Duke the Pitbull Snyder?
I know Duke the Pitbull, but tell me more about the baby oil.
Oh, yeah. Well, I want to tell a girl about it, baby.
But first, pass me and I'll pass it to a girl for you.
Okay.
I want to hear about the baby oil.
Yeah, but the girl has to hear it. I want to get off.
But I need you to spit my ass with a towel, and I do push-ups on the push-up.
Can you hear this okay?
You know, I use the same towel to wipe the dog as mine.
You use the same towel to wipe the dog as you?
Yeah.
You mean the dog you had sex with?
No, not the dog I had sex with. I gave the dog a washing, and I used the same towel.
What was the dog's name that you had sex with?
Pepper.
Can you just tell me about the baby oil, please?
Yeah, but I didn't have sex with Pepper. I only took a bath with her by mistake.
You took a bath with the baby oil?
No, I took a bath with a dog a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, when were you touching yourself in the shower with the baby oil?
No. I touched myself yesterday with the baby oil, and we're watching Playboy.
Oh, you were watching Playboy?
Yeah.
Oh, hold on 1 second.
Yeah.
I'll give you a woman. Hold on.
Hey, baby.
Hey.
Hey.
Hey, do you like wrestling?
Oh, yeah.
Who's your
Especially,
favorite?
Oh, my favorite?
Are you going to meet Randy Orton at Video Central?
Well, is Randy Orton hot?
I don't know. I never met him face to face.
Or tell me about Randy Orton. Do you think
But
he's
if
hot?
I go to Video Central, I'll finally meet Anthony face to face. He'll let me in for nothing.
Oh, really?
I'll wear a tie. I'll come with a tie.
Well, what would you do to Randy Orton?
No. I'll come with a tie and hang out with Anthony.
Oh.
I'll hang out with Randy Orton and Anthony. He'll be shocked. He'll say, "What are you doing here?" Right? Because I go to all the pay-per-views, right?
Well, what did you do in the movie theater the other night?
No, I don't do anything in the movie there. I
You
did
don't
something in
do
my
anything?
girlfriend's house.
Hold on 1 second.
Lenny,
What?
I have to ask you a
It's
question.
been 2 weeks since I had pussy. It's
What
2
happened?
weeks, but I had bloody pussy. You know, I didn't
You had
take it
bloody
in.
pussy?
No.
Listen,
Because my girlfriend did. So, you know?
Would you suck off Randy Orton for a night with one of my women?
No, I like women.
I like
For a
woman.
night with one of my women, would you suck off Randy Orton?
No, I...
Would you let
Suck off
Shelton Benjamin take a shit on your chest?
Who?
Shelton Benjamin.
What's Shelton Benjamin?
Would you let him sit on your chest? penis one of my women.
No, I like girls. I like girls.
Hold on 1 second. I've got a girl for you.
Okay.
This is good.
Hello, Lenny.
Hi, how are you?
Wade Barrett.
Lenny, I want to ask you a question.
Okay.
How many times did you have a brown eye rubbed against your nose?
Only for a woman.
Only from a woman.
No, not shit. No, I don't let women shit on me.
Never?
I let a woman pee in my mouth. I
You let
swallow a
what?
woman's pee.
A woman pee where?
A woman can pee in my mouth and I can swallow it.
What about in your ass?
No. Wait, hold on. Let me see this wrestling. I gotta report my results.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
I would like to take out my penis
Mm-hmm.
and shoot a hot batch of prick paste all over you.
No,
Would you let me do that?
but I like women.
I like woman.
A woman?
Mm-hmm.
You don't want any of my ball batter?
No, I like women.
But I have a big pit bull. Her name is Felicia.
I like women.
What about female pit bull?
No, I like female human girls.
She'll get on top of you and ride you like Seabiscuit.
Really? Like Superman, they showed Joey today. You know Good Life Network? You know the Good Life Network, right?
The Good Life Network, yes I do.
Okay, you know every Saturday, Superman.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Do you have a big package?
Yeah, man.
You got a big package.
Bob Holly, wait.
Does your balls hit your ass?
No, wait. Charlie Hodgson, Hardcore Bob Holly, be Nick Sen and Tony Cilantro. Nick Sen.
Here's what I would like you to do.
What?
I'd like you to stick a parakeet up your ass.
No, I can't stick a bird up my ass. I'm not the Birdman.
You can't stick a bird up your ass?
You know, the Birdman told me he's going to have me on his show in a couple
But
weeks.
what about just the beak?
No.
He couldn't stop laughing.
No, I like the woman.
Lenny, I'm sorry, I was getting excited over here in the corner. Listen, I was going to say, could you do me a favor? Do you have big balls?
No. Hey,
You have
save
big-
me some beer cans. I collect them and bring them back to the supermarket.
You collect beer cans? Do you have a big dick?
No.
Could you take out your
I have
penis
about
right
5
now?
inches.
Could you take out your 5-inch penis right now?
No, I'll take it out for a woman.
Would you take it out for a woman?
Mm-hmm.
I have a woman right here.
Really? Who?
Hold on, she's going to tell me what to tell you. She's occupied right now. She's saying, Lenny, could you take out your penis?
No, I like women. I want her to say it.
Lenny, could you take out your penis?
No, I like women. She went.
Lenny, could you take out your penis?
I like women.
Oh,
I had dinner. You know, did Anthony tell you I had dinner with Wild Man Jack Armstrong?
You did have a Wild Man Jack Armstrong?
Yeah, you know, I went to the Carnegie
How
Deli
about
with him.
that Jack Brown Eye?
Wait, let me talk to Anthony for a second.
Anthony is occupied right now.
But I want to talk to him for a second.
Hold
That's
on.
me laughing in the background.
Can you take out your penis first?
No, I like
I cannot put you through to Anthony till you take out your penis.
No, but I like women. I can't take out my penis. When is it? I'll say it on 95. I'll say, oh, penis, the wonderful cat, the wonderful cat. Oh, penis, the wonderful cat, the wonderful cat.
Can you sing me another line of the penis song?
Huh?
The penis song. Can you
Oh,
sing me the
penis,
fucking
the
penis
wonderful
song?
cat. Oh, penis, the wonderful cat, the wonderful cat.
You fucking sexy bitch.
What? I gotta feed my dog at 7:30 in the morning.
Lenny, you're gonna feed my balls at 7:30.
No, I'm giving my dog, my girlfriend's
It's about
dog.
3 minutes left.
I'm giving my girlfriend's dog. I'll tell you what I'm gonna give her. I'm gonna give her.
Lenny, stop fucking talking and take my balls in your mouth.
No, I like women. I don't take men's balls in my mouth. I like
Take
women.
my balls. I'm gonna be balls deep in that ass of yours.
I like women.
Lenny, I'm coming over right now.
How about Vinny G?
Lenny, me and Vinny G are coming over right now.
Vinny G's
He's
not.
gonna listen to like reading you.
Did you ever meet Vinny G?
Vinny G has met my meat.
Vinny G's a fag, right?
Vinny G's a fag.
How about Victor?
Are you making fun of me?
No, what about Victor? Is he real?
I don't know if Victor's real.
Did you ever meet Victor?
If Victor's real.
Did you ever meet Victor?
I've never met Victor, but he's coming over with me right now.
Really?
Lenny, what's your address?
No, I don't want to go. I don't want to go.
Do you live in Brooklyn, Lenny?
No, I like women. I'm a womanizer.
Okay, hold on 1 second.
Lenny, baby.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, let me get your address so I can come on over and spend
Yeah,
a good
but
time.
I'm going to my girlfriend's house now.
Is your girlfriend into lesbian?
No, she's away on vacation. She's
What?
She's fucking another guy.
Oh, really? Is the dog involved?
Yeah, but it gets me turned on.
Oh, really? The dog gets you turned on?
No. My girlfriend's fucking another guy out of state, and I'm in her house for the next couple weeks watching the dog.
Oh.
But it turns me on.
Oh, the dog turns you on?
No. My girlfriend is fucking her former friend from New York, and he's in another state. So it's turning me on that she's fucking another guy.
Oh.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
I understand.
She's giving another guy the pussy.
Lenny.
Wait, tell Anthony this.
All right, hold on one moment.
Can I talk to Anthony?
Lenny, I just want to tell you that I'm going to shoot my goo right now.
Well, let me talk to Anthony for a second.
I'm going to shoot my goo right now, Lenny. Here it comes.
Here it comes. Wait. See?
I'm telling you, baby. I'm going to stick one of those frankfurters that you sell right up your ass. Oh, baby.
Really?
We're all getting off together, Lenny.
Oh, shit.
Lenny.
How about Daniel Pewter? Do you like him?
I'm going to fuck Daniel Pewter in his ass.
How about Daniel Pewter? You know him?
I'm going to stick Daniel Pewter up your ass.
How about Al Snow?
Here comes the goo, Lenny. Whoa!
Oh. Wow. I don't know where they get these people from, man. I don't know where they get these fucking people from.
He thinks we're weird.
I don't know where they get these people from. Right? Huh? Hey, you think at UXW I could take the wrestlers' jackets back to the dressing room? Hello? 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 Hello?
That's it. He thinks we're weird. Here comes the goo. Lenny, I want to take a batch of prick paste. I want to take my penis and shoot a batch of prick paste all over you. Have you ever had a brown eye up against your nose? Oh my God, that was so funny. Could not stop laughing. I mean, I played this Tuesday too. You remember the Arnold Schwarzenegger soundboards? You all know about those, right? I mean, for those that don't know, I mean, you missed something about 20 years ago that was just priceless. People would take clips of Arnold Schwarzenegger from different movies, and then they would prank call someone, and they would press, a button based on the person's answer. And the conversations would go on sometimes for minutes. And you would have, they did it with Chris Rock, Al Pacino, Robert De Niro, all of these. And there used to be a wrestling hotline guy by the name of Captain Ivan, which I've told you before. It's the same Captain Ivan that Nicole Bass wanted to beat the shit out of. Captain Ivan was how I became friendly with Daphne back in the day. So I prank called Captain Ivan, and I played a Robert De Niro soundboard. I sat on my computer, I had the soundboard on my screen, and whatever his answer was, I would hit a button. And for about 3 minutes, he thought he was talking to a real person, and at the very end, he realized that it was me that pranked him. That was some of the funniest shit as well. I'll play that for you next week. Because I only put this audio in this computer for tonight. I wasn't even sure if I was going to play it. I wanted to see, if we had a good moment and how many people were interested. So, yeah, I mean, that's what I love about doing what I do and going back so long, because something, I don't know, I can't explain it, man. I can't explain it. Something told me 20 years ago, record all of this stuff. Not that, oh, I would listen to it when I was old, but it was just something like we pranked him. It wasn't enough to just call him and fuck with him on the phone. I had to record it too. And like I said, in 2004, there were no smartphones. I don't even remember how the hell I did it. I must have linked it to, called on three-way with my hotline company and did it that. I don't know. But now, almost 20 years later in some cases, yeah, that's 17 years later. But in other cases, 20, 21, 22 years later, now we could look back on that and we're like, oh my God. So I don't know if anyone else out there has ever recorded stuff like that 20 years ago. So I'm telling you, it's so much fun. I'm only touching the surface of the stuff that I have. But I hope you enjoyed it. Papo Jr. definitely was not around when that shit was going down. Oh my God. It was just weird, wacky. That's why, like, when people try to make drama now with me, with other podcasters, other hosts and this and that, I'm like, man, you had to see this shit 20 years ago. Now, you heard that guy. That guy was so, like, not obsessed with me, but so, and he took me to court. It was just weird. Like, he liked me so much that he had to take me to court. I still, and I have that audio recorded, by the way. You will, maybe I'll share it next week if you want to hear it. You'll hear the Mass Maniac laugh so hard that he was crying. That's how funny that conversation got at times. Yeah, I mean, that's it. Yes, the Jerky Boys were hilarious, but the Jerky Boys, you know, they were just prank calling people. I mean, prank calls have been going on for decades and decades and decades, but I'm not going to deny it. I mean, there were one point that I was a huge fan of the Jerky Boys. I remember at one point going up to everybody I know, hey, yo, shut up, Chisel Chest. You know what I mean? We would use like names that they would use. Jerky Boys are legendary. Absolutely, man. I am not going to shit on the Jerky Boys. But question from Roger Rubio that came in a little earlier. Have I heard about ordering a saliva COVID test on Amazon for $100? Okay. There are some tests out there that are legit. And there's some others that are not. I have heard of home tests, believe it or not, and I know, Roger, you're a patron. Mish and I happened to talk about that Tuesday as well, that Mish actually was, you know, originally going to buy like one or two of the take-home tests and try it. They're not bad. On Amazon, I would be very careful, and I'm a little surprised that Amazon is even selling them. I don't even know if they're allowed. Somebody must have somehow sneaked them on Amazon, because I just find that a little bit difficult to believe, because Amazon is so strict when it comes to stuff related, just except for like Lysol and everything. They'll allow everybody selling cans of Lysol for $20. But as far as fast results, the problem is this. Even if they give you a UPS label or a FedEx label, you take your saliva and you put the swab into the vial, and I don't know if they tell you to refrigerate or whatever it is. At the earliest, UPS or FedEx is going to come to your house the next day. At the earliest, UPS or FedEx is going to deliver that vial to the lab the following day. So you're talking already 2 to 3 days turnaround at minimum. So as far as fast results, you could go to a local urgent care, take the test, and get the results in 2 to 3 hours. I mean, I know that they have rapid tests and you could learn in minutes, but where in my neighborhood, there's a couple of urgent cares, and from what I was told, you get the results in 2 to 3 hours. That's fast turnaround. So look, if Amazon is allowing it, then, you got to look at the reputation of the seller. That's why, like I always say, whether it's eBay, Amazon, another store, always look at the reputation of the seller, and also be very careful, because there are companies now that you pay a couple of dollars and they will leave a ton of positive reviews on your product. That's why it gets harder and harder sometimes to buy stuff on Amazon, because you see a gadget that you really don't come across all that often. You look at the reviews and it's 100 positive reviews, but then if you look at it closer, like all the reviews sound similar. And then you realize that you'll find, like, of those 100 reviews, 40 of them were posted in one day. So they're paying companies to post reviews. Sometimes I buy stuff, I like to snack. I'm a big snacker on this keto thing. And I am willing to try almost anything out there. Somebody comes out with a new cookie. I've been obsessed with this bread from a company called Uprising Foods. I'll try anything. But I can't tell you how many times I get something in the mail or from Amazon, and when I open the box, there'll be a thing that says, post a good review, we'll give you $40, $20, $30, another free bottle. I take, like, electrolytes, I take enzymes, I take bile salts because I don't have a gallbladder anymore. And, I mean, you're going to tell me you're going to give me a free bottle just for posting a review? Hell yeah, I'll post a review. Give me the free bottle. Now I don't give a shit about you no more. So you got to be so careful with that, man. Edwin G. I have always said The Adventures of Ford Fairlane is one of my all-time favorites. Did I see his follow-up, Dice Rules? What did I think? I didn't like Dice Rules that much at all. There was another one where he was in his house, and I think with his mother. Was it The Day the Laughter Died or something like that? I mean, I'm drawing a little blank right now, but for me, I got very lucky, and I sat front row once to see Andrew Dice Clay. Me and my friend Joey went. I was very nervous about going because I was afraid that when I'm going to be honest about something with me in my past. When I talk about people who claim that they are tough as shoe leather on social media, and all you need is one person to criticize them, and they will write about that person for days. They will do special podcasts based on that one person. It gets so much under their skin about one person's criticism, they can't. That's when you know that someone can't handle it. Back in the day, I was 10 times worse. I was petrified to go see Andrew Dice Clay in person because I was afraid he was going to make fun of me. I mean, you see some of the pictures of me. I mean, some of them aren't that bad when I was in my early 20s, but, some of them were pretty out there. I mean, there's times that my face looked like a basketball. It was just, I was prime material. But luckily when we went, he was more joking the women that were with guys, and he was trolling, but he really didn't focus on any individual single guys. So I escaped it. But man, if he would have done that, I would have melted. But for me, Adventures of Ford Fairlane is my favorite. I love the nursery rhymes. I love the stand-up. I love what he's done years later. I can't tell you how many times I came this close of ordering cameos, but I ordered a couple of cameos in 2020 for some wrestlers that had lost their jobs. Most of them, all of them, I said, I don't need a video. Just wanted to send something. This is the only way I could do it, that I know you'll get almost all the money. One person did a video anyway, but I can't tell you how many times I was so close of having him do it. But I actually was going to try to pay him and Gilbert Gottfried to do one together, but didn't happen. Oh, you're going to start testing me on that? Jack and Jill go up the hill to fetch a pail of water, or I don't know, something like Jack and Jill went up the hill, both with $1.25. Jill came down with $2.50. That's the G-rated versions one. I mean, there's some out there. Some of you out there probably never heard or watched the Andrew Dice Clay nursery rhymes. Without a doubt, definitely something that you would not hear in many cases come out of my mouth in the year 2021. Some wild, wild shit. Crazy Cruiserweight. Did I ever see anything? Oh, yes, Siegfried and Roy, yes. You know, for those that don't know, I mean, I think older fans out there were more familiar with Siegfried and Roy. They were big in Las Vegas, especially in the 70s and the 80s. They did a lot of acts with Lions. Believe it or not, I actually saw the documentary. What was the tiger's name? Mantree or Manatee or something? Manatee? No, Manatee is a mammal. But they would do a lot of tricks with lions. And one lion just destroyed Roy. And, you know, they refused to accept the fact that this was just a wild fucking animal. And sooner or later, the animal is going to be what it is, a wild animal. So disturbing while I'm doing this. VJ, Hickory Dickory Dock, your mother sucked my... The clock struck 2, I shot my goo, I dropped the bitch at the end of the block. They're trying to test me with nursery rhymes, but, you know, I remember, but that documentary about Siegfried and Roy that came out very recently, I watched it maybe 6 months ago, and that's when Roy had passed away. He died, I think he was 75 years old from complications of COVID, and yesterday, Siegfried died. I think he was 81, and as I've said many times, I said it as recent as a couple of weeks ago when Danny Hodge passed away. You know, the average lifespan for a man in the United States, I believe, is 74. So you live to be 80, 81, 88. You know, it's sad to see people pass on. It's sad. It sparks memories in some cases. In the case of Siegfried, Manticore, that's it, Manticore. They insisted that Manticore saw something wrong and was trying to protect Roy, and in the process, like, it ripped his spine or whatever it was. You know, any of you been on my Twitter tonight, you saw the video I posted with Freddie, my African gray parrot. The one thing about that bird, I don't have any cuts right now to show it, but the one, I could show you two, but it's not anything big. I mean, I got 2 cuts, but one thing about that bird, African gray parrots are wild birds. And yes, they are domesticated. You could domesticate them. And yes, the bird thinks I'm its mother or its father. My mom can't go anywhere near him. My brother is petrified. That bird will annihilate my brother if he could. I don't know why. But when it comes to my father and me, the bird, you see what I did on Twitter tonight. But once in a while, you know, you have to know when to back off. Now, I'm not comparing a lion or a tiger to a bird, but the point is, it's an African gray. The beaks are sharp, and he draws blood. I mean, I don't want to, like, do close-ups, but I got a scab over here. You kind of see that. I got a cut over here. And that's him just going for my hand because sometimes he doesn't want to be bothered. And I'll keep trying to pick him up. And then, you know, sometimes he trolls you. He baits you. If my fiance was here right now, she would tell you straight up exactly what happened. About a week ago, you know, I was trying to pick up the bird to play with him a little bit and everything. And you could tell he didn't want to be bothered. But it was getting late, and I wanted to spend some time playing with the bird. I mean, I don't have my dog anymore, so that's the only pet I have. So it got to the point where the bird, you know, was going to, like, teach me a lesson. Like, if you don't leave me alone, you're going to pay the price. So as I'm trying to pick him up, he puts his head down, and his feathers fluff up. And usually he wants to be pet on his head. Now, I've heard stories that birds, sometimes when you rub them on their head, it's almost like erotic to them. But he likes to be massaged on his head. So he put his head down. My fiance saw the whole thing, and his feathers fluffed up, and I started rubbing his head. And he put his head down further, and when I got comfortable, zap, got me right on my hand. And that was his way of saying, you see, motherfucker, now leave me alone. So he does that. But, you just, when you have wild animals, you got to respect the fact that they're wild animals. They may love you, they may trust you, they may think that you're its mother, father, whatever. But at the end of the day, they're still wild animals. And with Siegfried and Roy, you see some of those videos, man, and you saw that story of that young kid when he was young and got attacked, and they tried to settle with him out of court. I saw that documentary. But Siegfried died yesterday. So in less than a year, both Siegfried and Roy both passed on. I will tell you, my mom and my aunt were huge on Siegfried and Roy. I mean, over the years, a lot of people thought that they were lovers, that they were gay, and they both were in a relationship. Didn't matter to me. I didn't care. I wasn't really a fan of theirs. But when it came to heterosexual women, I don't know if that just attracted them even more, but it's unreal, growing up younger and then looking back on it and realizing like how much my mom would watch Siegfried and Roy on TV. And I know people that went to see them in Vegas. So, yeah. So Kevon Lewis says his grandfather lived to be 95. That's awesome, man. That's awesome. That's why, you think about Brody Lee and others, tomorrow is never guaranteed. It is never guaranteed. Don't take advantage of it. Try to, I'm not telling you, hug your mom or your dad or your significant other or anything. I mean, obviously you do that anyway, but you don't ever want to, unless you really have a deep disdain for certain family members, you don't want to be that person where somebody gets seriously ill or passes on, and then you live for the rest of your life saying, man, I wish I would have spent more time. Man, I wish I would have just called them a little bit more. Man, I wish I would just tell them I loved them. That's why it broke my heart with The Rock when Rocky Johnson died. And that still is glued in me. That you could feel that The Rock absolutely loves his father. His father loved The Rock. They had a close relationship. But you could tell that their relationship towards the very end is very similar to what a lot of us go through. Like, you don't live in the same house with your parents anymore, but sometimes you don't call them every day, or maybe it's a day and a half, and, you kind of like, I'll talk to her tomorrow, or, I'll go see him next week or something like that. And then something happens. And then you're like, man, if I just had one more opportunity. You always want that one more opportunity, to be able to say goodbye. And unfortunately, that doesn't happen in many cases. My mom had an incident about a month ago, and she told me about it. And my mom, you already know her health issues. That's why, it was so critical that they get the vaccine Tuesday. I'm getting it because, obviously I qualify because I work in grocery as well. And I don't want to ever be in a position where I could give them COVID. But my mom's also got sleep apnea. She uses one of those machines at night. She's got problems with IBS, irritable bowel syndrome. She gets horrendous indigestion. And she told me about a month ago that she had an incident. She woke up in the middle of the night with extremely cold sweats, dizzy, vertigo, almost had like numbness in her hands. She had to turn the water on in the bathroom, ice cold, and put it on her hands. And she thought she was going to die. And she didn't wake my father up. And I said to him, like, you got to wake him up next time. And she's like, she put cold water on her face, on her hands, and ultimately she started feeling a little better and this and that. Won't go to the doctor, has no idea the reason why. I have done so much research online. I think I know what it is, and it has to do with, acid, and it gets in your intestines, and it just causes chaos. But I had said to her, I'm like, you got to wake him up. You got to go to the hospital. And she said to me, and it sticks in my head, she says, the only thing that she kept thinking about when she was in the bathroom and she honestly thought she was going to die is she wouldn't be able to say goodbye to me and my brother. And that just hit me like a ton of bricks. That's why even more of a reason, like, I am not going to be one of those people that if the day comes, when the day comes, I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, if I only went one day more. Oh, if I only did this one day more. I will not take it for granted. So, oh, yes, Chris, I actually sent some wishes to Vince Russo the other day. Vince Russo's father, I think it was 90. I think he's 90. You wrote 91. Maybe he is 91. I thought he was 90, though. And he's still alive. I'm not saying was. I mean, his birthday was early in the week. That's why I'm saying was. He's not taken from us. 316 says his mom died from cancer when she was 61. My grandmother was like 62. The person that got me into wrestling. She her birthday was December 1st. And Kavan says, and he died 2 days after his grandmother died. It's terrible. Sterling's mom died last week. It's rough, and that's why this COVID stuff, man. I know we're getting on a little serious convo for a little while, but hey, that's what the idea of Thursday is. We could laugh a little bit. We could talk serious for a little bit. We could talk a little bit about wrestling. The ratings came in. If you want, we could touch on that quickly in a minute or two. Now, I want to start wrapping this up because we're already about 90 minutes in, and I'm coming back here tomorrow. We'll talk SmackDown, Impact predictions. I should have the ratings, quarter-hour breakdown for AEW and NXT. But VJ's parents both died when he was 14 years old. The COVID situation, I talked about this the other day a little bit, but my parents are in Florida. They just came back to New York today. They went to Florida for 2 weeks. One, try to relax a little bit, because Florida, where they go, there's almost no COVID. Very, very little COVID. So they're in an area where it's a little bit safer. And it's not white privilege or anything like that. They're in a community where almost everybody is old. There's like no party life there. It's a community. It's almost like, the villages, similar to that. So they're in an area where they're surrounded by elderly people, and they're all petrified as fuck, and they don't mingle with young people. So the COVID rate there is next to nothing. Next to nothing. They're in an area where you walk around, you actually look at a place when you have a mask on. So, plus they're selling a property, and they're having a hard time selling it. So, that's why they were there. While they were there, they were going to get the COVID vaccine. And the problem is you have to get the second dose 3 or 4 weeks later. And in New York, my God, if you saw the news today, even if you don't live in New York, they're now saying that unless the government sends more doses to New York, that all the appointments are booked until April. I mean, that's mind-boggling. Because 3 days ago, I went on the New York Department of Health's website, registered me, my mom and my dad. And the funny thing about it is you have to use different email addresses every time. You can't have one email address for all three of us. My mom doesn't have email. So I gave her my Don Tony email. We set it up under Don Tony's email address. But I went on the New York City website, and in about 15 minutes, I was able to book an appointment for my mom, my dad, and me at a place that's about 5 minutes where they live. And we're all going at the same date, Tuesday, 3:30 in the afternoon. So I called up my father, and I said, look, I got the appointment. And he's like, you didn't get the appointment. And I'm like, no, I got the appointment. I got confirmation numbers and everything. And I said, let me pull it up. And I read it to him over the phone. And he got very, very quiet. And I knew he started sobbing because he had that pneumonia about 2-3 months ago. You remember? And we all feared that he had COVID. That's how sick he was. And it was very frustrating because my mother refused to stay in a different room than him. I begged my mother. We did a Patreon show, and I begged her on the phone. I put it on speakerphone. Please stay in my room, because I have a unit over there as well, an apartment over there. I said, please stay in my place. I promise you I'll stay there. She didn't. She kept sleeping in the same bed with him. She kept taking care of him, and we had no idea if he had COVID or not. And the problem was, 2 months ago, you had to wait on long lines outside of a building to get tested for COVID. Everybody was going for a test because Thanksgiving was coming up. So you couldn't just walk into a waiting room and just sit there with some earbuds and just listen to music or a podcast for 2 hours. Picture somebody who has pneumonia, and now you're telling him he's got to stand outside in 20-degree weather for an hour or two in order to get tested. My father drove to the site, stood outside for 15 minutes, says, I can't, physically couldn't. Took himself back home. Ultimately, he got a test done a couple of days later, and it was negative. Got another one done a week later, it was negative. So he had pneumonia, he didn't have COVID. But the point is, if he would have had COVID, if my mom would have caught it, it's a death sentence because of what happened with her with the heart and everything else. So when I told my father, we got the appointment, and it's this Tuesday, I guess it all just hit him like for the first time in almost a year, we kind of start letting our guard down a little bit. That we don't have to be petrified that even if the mailman hands you mail that you got to be concerned. I think it was just very overwhelming for them. And, we're getting the Moderna vaccine, which means we get the second dose 1 month later. I heard Johnson & Johnson today, they're going to seek, I don't know if it's approval by the end of January, but their vaccination not only is 1 dose instead of 2 required, but they say also that the dose could be stored at almost like refrigerator temperatures, 34 to like 40 degrees or something. But, this is, even though, a lot of people, because we're 7, 8, 10 months into it, they're getting so used to it and so frustrated that they want some type of normalcy in their life so bad that they will, let their guard down a little bit. And you can't. You can't. Not even for a minute. Because that's all you need is one vulnerable opportunity. Zap. My niece's boyfriend has COVID right now. He's a young guy. He's only about 21. So, they're not too worried. But that's my biggest fear than anything else. My biggest fear is my nieces who are 19 and 21 years old. When you see on the news that 20-year-olds have a 99.99% chance of recovering from it, that's even better odds of getting like gonorrhea or something. It's not a death sentence. My point is, you're not going to turn your life upside down for something that almost 100% guaranteed you recover from, because you get colds, you get flu, and you can recover from there. So that's the mindset of a lot of young people out there. Their mindset is, hey, if I get it, I'll be fine. My biggest fear is some of my younger relatives who think no big deal if I get it. They don't think that they could give it to someone else. And that has happened more than one occasion. It's scary shit, man. It's scary shit. So let me see. Yeah, Johnson & Johnson. Oh yeah. Okay. But you just got to keep your. How long did I leave Siegfried and Royd up there? I just realized that. Just got to keep your guard up, no matter what. My fiance's not getting the vaccine yet. She wants to see if we get any side effects. I was told that you're going to get a little bit of a headache. You're going to feel a little bit under the weather, and that's a good thing because that means your body is being introduced to the vaccine and your body is adapting to it. But the second dose, like a day later or so, that's when you really get like a bad headache or something. But hey, I get headaches anyway. I get tension headaches. I get borderline migraines. It's not going to be anything different. I'll take a couple of Tylenols, but as long as I'm vaccinated, that's the most important thing. But yeah, you could get COVID from anything and anywhere. I'm telling you. I know someone who got it about a week ago, and I just think about the places this person has been in New York, and little things, just coughing here or touching something here and this and that. You could only imagine if they left the germs in places for other people to touch. That's why even when I shop now, I try not to buy fresh produce, cucumbers, tomatoes, avocados. If I bring them home, I got to spray something on it or rinse it, because I don't know throughout the day how many people walking in the supermarket that picks it up, let me touch this avocado. Is it soft? And let me put it back down. And you pick it up too. I don't walk around in the supermarket with plastic gloves on. What I do, and this is an idea in case any of you out there want to do this too. You go to a grocery store or supermarket and you don't have gloves and you want cucumber, avocado, something fresh that's not in a bag. They always have the plastic bags that you could put the produce in. What you do is you take the plastic bag and you put your hand inside the bag. And, do I have a shopping bag? No, shit. If I had a shopping bag, I could show you exactly what I'm talking about. I don't over here. But all you really do is you take the plastic bag, with your hand in the bag, you grab the item. Now, your hand is not touching the item. Your hand is inside the bag. You're grabbing it from the outside of the bag. And when you grab the item, all you do is you just turn the bag inside out. You'll never touch the item. Something that I always do. And you know what? Some of you do that already. Very smart. Believe it or not, actually, you know what? I do have a bag. Give me 1 second. This is, I know it's not very professional. It's not very professional, but that's what the Thursdays are for. So, yeah, thank you for shopping. So let's pretend this is a produce bag. Very simple. You take the produce bag. Now, you don't want to put it inside it because, you don't want to touch it. So let's say this is a tomato. What you do is you put your hand inside the bag, grab the tomato, turn the bag upside down. That's it. Don't even have to touch it. Then when you go home, you could do the opposite. Take it out like this. Your hand never touches it. So I'm wearing shorts. Yes, I do have regular shorts on. I don't wear full-length jeans in here. It's freaking hot. I mean, you have no idea. Here right now, it's got to be about 80, 85 degrees, which is not that bad. But when you're on here for 2 hours and you got all these lights. You know, it kind of like, and my God, these are LEDs. They're not even like hot lights, but they still pull off a little bit of heat, man. What do I use to wash my produce? I think it's called Veggie Wash. They sell it on Amazon. It's pretty cheap. I think all it is like vinegar and water, like combined. But what I do is I use Veggie Wash, and then I rinse them under in the sink. And then I put them in green bags so they last a little bit longer. So the green bags actually work pretty good. I had strawberries that lasted me about 3 weeks, and no mold, no nothing, because I can't eat too many strawberries a day because of, the diet I'm on and everything. So, but anyway, I wanted to, because I saw a couple of you talking about it before, the ratings came in for AEW, Impact, and NXT. Impact, 161, 10,000 viewers higher than the week before. As a lead-in to Hard to Kill, I think that is very unimpressive. Not only that, that's still lower than their average in 2020. AEW yesterday, my prediction was 780 if you tune into yesterday's show. I have the timestamp if you want to check it out. My prediction was 780. They did 762. So it was pretty close to what I had said yesterday. NXT, though, wow. I said yesterday that AEW would beat NXT by less than 100,000 viewers. I thought NXT would do around 720, 730. I don't remember the exact number, but it was a little bit under 750. It might have been 740. Their rating came in at 551,000. What's interesting is that the week before, compared to this week, AEW gained 100,000 viewers, NXT lost 90,000 viewers. Everybody blamed last week's numbers on the news, what happened in the Capitol building. Capitol building riots happened earlier in the day. There was no live feeds at 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night last week that people were just looking at it. Yes, news dominated, but wrestling fans, especially diehard fans, I seriously doubt in the hundreds of NXT's rating went up last week compared to the week before. Just let that sink in a little bit. For NXT, no excuse for that. But for AEW, well, no, there was news. There was news. Can't have it both ways. But I say this. Yesterday, I enjoyed NXT a little bit more than AEW. I love that Desmond and Xavier and Zachary Wentz are in NXT. They did it right, a WWE. I love how they brought them in. I love that they won. I'm not sold yet on them winning the whole Dusty Classic, but man, pun intended, they came in and made a big impact. The problem is, MJ, the tournament I don't think is the issue. The problem is, and it hurts me to say this, but that's why I do the quarter-hour breakdowns every week. Breezango, WWE has done a horrendous job with Breezango. I'll never forget that match. Remember, who were they facing? Did they face Gallows and Anderson? No, not Gallows and Anderson. Luke Harper and Eric Rowan. I think I might remember when they used the broomsticks and it was all comedy bullshit. Going into that match, I thought they were going to win the tag titles. Yeah, thank you, Dynasty. It was the Bludgeon Brothers. I remember that match. I thought that was finally going to be the time they were going to win the tag titles. And instead, we got goofy broomsticks and horrible. And I'm like, come on, man. I like it, but what happened to I mean, what a far cry. And ever since then, I think WWE has just done a horrendous job with Breezango. As a team, solo wrestlers, didn't matter. And I have noticed when they have put Breezango in main events on NXT, which has happened, I think, 3 times in the last 5 months, every time they have done a horrendous number. I just think on Wednesday night, fans want more than just Breezango. Everrise, I have nothing against him personally, but I got so much feedback, emails and DMs from yesterday, today, people telling me, you look at Everrise versus the grizzled young veterans, and there's nothing wrong with them, but you look at that match, and you just look at it on the outside looking in, and you say to yourself, none of those fucking guys, they don't look like characters. They look like 4 indie guys that there's no connection. One kind of looks like what Shawn Michaels used to look like in the Attitude Era. There's nothing that is, and Everrise has done horrendous ratings. Grizzled Young Veterans, there's almost no connection with wrestling fans. They got fans. I'm not saying that they don't, but they keep putting it out there. I mean, at some point, WWE has got to say, look, we tried with fucking Everrise. We've tried with some other teams. They're just not fitting in. That's why when there was rumors that NXT was going to have like a developmental system too, we talked about that 4 years ago when we would bring up, when somebody would show up on TV and people would have no idea that they wrestled like 20 events for NXT. But I never saw them on TV. Yeah, because they have NXT house shows in front of 200 people, and that's kind of like their developmental for NXT. That's something that's been going on for a while. That's nothing new. But there's some people that, if you're, put it this way, they're trying to boost up Damian Priest. They're trying to boost up Karrion Kross. They're trying to boost up Isaiah Swerve Scott. They're trying to boost up Johnny Gargano. They're trying to boost interest in Timothy Thatcher. They're trying to boost more with Ciampa. They're trying to boost more with other wrestlers there. The problem is, in the middle of trying to do all that, you throw Everrise, you throw grizzled young veterans, you throw another wrestler out there that has been given numerous opportunities and have not delivered. And what happens? People change the channel. They don't change it back. Plain and simple. When you watch a movie, if you get interrupted halfway into the movie, sometimes you just don't go back and watch the movie anymore, that you might watch it from the beginning another day. With NXT, yes, there's different characters all throughout the 2-hour movie, but the point is that you want to put a product out there where you don't want to give people a reason to change the channel. You can't turn around and say, well, the Inner Circle are on TV, so we'll give them Evereye versus El Nobody's number 1 and 2. El No One. You can't do that. And you could feel like they put filler out there sometimes. There are some people in NXT, and I don't like using names, but even on the women's side, there are a couple of names that they're putting in this dusty tournament, and I don't care if they cut promos, and I don't care if they get in a sudden win on TV that now I'm supposed to think, oh, they have a shot. It's filler, and the problem is some of that filler is turning fans away. I mean, you look at AEW, you see wrestlers, I'm not going to name any names, but you see some wrestlers that wrestle, I will name a name. We'll use Peter Avalon, and we'll use, I don't know, name me somebody on AEW Dark chat room. Name me somebody on AEW Dark that does not ever really get an opportunity on Dynamite. Name me one guy besides Peter Avalon. Just name me anybody out there. It'd be funny if nobody tuning in watches AEW Dark. But you pick one guy. Anybody. Still waiting. Brandon Cutler. Okay, great. Okay, excellent one, Sterling. Brandon Cutler. You do not see AEW week after week after week throw a Peter Avalon versus Brandon Cutler match on Dynamite. They keep those wrestlers on Dark that they know are not going to generate interest. And yes, you know, NXT is WWE's third brand. AEW is AEW. There is no secondary. But the point is, they don't put people out there just to fill time or just to give opportunity. Their opportunity is on Dark. Some of these wrestlers, they're forced to put them on NXT television because they're not doing house shows right now. That's why those reports that WWE will never do house shows again, the more you think about that, the more ridiculous that sounds. When you understand wrestlers, it just makes no sense. So some wrestlers, the only opportunity they are going to get is by putting on the televised brand right now. The problem is, after 2 times on TV, 3 times, 5 times, 10 times, and still after all that time they still can't connect, you got to make a decision. You know, it's funny when Indira Shear, they're off TV because of the Keith Lee championship spoiler. They're not being kept off TV because they can't click or they're not generating ratings. That's because of a very stupid move on one of the partners. But you got to start taking people off TV that are just not cutting it. Just you can't. It's not where Vince McMahon just forces it and forces, like Roman Reigns for those first 4 years. Force it, force it, force it, force it. I know what the fans want. Force it, force it, force it, force it. Sooner or later, it's going to kick. It's going to click. Force it, force it. Doesn't happen. Doesn't happen. You just can't keep forcing the issue with some of these people. So, no, I mean, look, a lot of you have been asking for me to do a prediction show. What I think is going to happen in 2021. I already talked to Mish about it. We are going to do one in the next week or two. And we'll probably pre-record it beforehand. We'd love to do it live, but we want to stick to a bunch of topics, and we're going to start pre-recording some things on top of what we do here. Maybe we'll end up doing it live. I don't know. But we are going to do something predicting 2021, and I got some doozies. Some of them are carryovers of what I said in 2020. Sammy Guevara said that 3 months ago. Sammy Guevara will turn babyface and will be beat up by the Inner Circle and Sammy Guevara. And I'll tell you, I was looking at Sammy Guevara yesterday during that segment. And look, I don't condone steroids. I'm not saying he should take steroids. But I will tell you, Sammy Guevara, his physique, if he puts 20 pounds of weight of muscle on his body, that guy, I think, has an opportunity to explode in WWE down the line. He could explode in AEW. I think Guevara is a little on the small side. And I think if you're going to put him in a heavyweight division or have him consistently fight with heavyweights, that's why the Darby Allin, Brian Cage thing yesterday, I don't care what storyline it was trying to tell. It's just almost ridiculous how they had to try to pull it off. They needed Sting with the plastic bat to distract. I mean, when you have to do that in order to make Darby's win look like, you know, that it was a legit win, that's when you know you got a problem. So that's why I say if Guevara puts on like 20 pounds of muscle and you put him up against heavyweight guys, it won't look so one-sided. That's why, you know, Eddie Guerrero put on some muscle. Rey Mysterio put on lots of muscle, you know, in his WWE career. So a little bit bulkier in size, and I think that will enhance his career. And I'm not saying steroids either. But, yeah, Michael, I'm going to talk to Mish tomorrow, and I think we're going, look, we were going to launch that membership thing because just more for people that wanted like emojis and stuff like that. And, you know, it's not going to be any type of money grab, but, you know, we were tossing around the idea of, because we want to put some content on there as well. We were thinking of doing like not a practice call-in show, but test it out. Because it would be an epic fail if we did it on Monday or Wednesday or Friday. Thursdays wouldn't be too bad. But if we did on a Monday or Wednesday or Friday and the calls just ended up a disaster, it's going to be very difficult to recover from there. So the software that we're using, you know, the one thing that's good about it is with Mish and I together, and this is why people need to understand also why some things change from time to time as far as shows and setup. You know, with doing calls, it's very important that both me and or Mish know how to screen the calls, post the calls, cut off the calls, check the next one, screen this, screen that. You know, it can't just be one-sided. So, you know, it looks like we'll rotate. Like 1 week I'll handle a helm, a week later Mish will handle a helm. It is tremendously easier when you have a second person doing it as well. And it's going to be absolutely necessary. Once, you know, it's because you see with Thursday, you know, not everybody wants to hang out and just chat about whatever. People, you know, specifically want a Raw review, a SmackDown review, an AEW review, an NXT review, predictions for Impact, talking about a particular subject. They want specifics. When you do something like this on Thursdays, it's random. I go into the show and I say to myself, okay, what do I think everybody's going to want to talk about tonight? Do you think that I thought we were going to talk about Gotti, talking about, you know, Al Pacino, talking about as much as we did about COVID and things like a lot of things we talked about tonight? There's no way I would have thought in advance we would get into. Wherever the topics go, they go. So Thursdays is a lot of fun, but for a lot of people out there, not knowing what is going to be discussed is not going to interest as many people. So Thursdays will probably be the easiest day to test calls. So we'll see. But I would say, honestly, you know, we're already halfway into January. There's no reason by the beginning of February that we can't do it on some consistent basis. I'm thinking about even maybe doing an episode every other week that's just call-ins, something like this. Or maybe rotate this and have a week of calls, just calls and nothing else. You know, there's ways of doing it. So, yeah, we're working on it, trying to see. But like I said, we want to make sure everything is done the right way. That's one thing. You don't ever want to go into a show unprepared, and then showtime happens. This doesn't work. This doesn't click, or this isn't on. And then, I mean, when I first went to video over here, for people that like to see me sweat, and that was in January, so it was cold outside. I mean, we're in January now. In fact, I think January 20th is the 1 year anniversary of being on YouTube. I think the 20th. I'm not sure. Interesting that it'll be on the day that Biden is inducted, if that date is right, inaugurated. I keep saying inducted. I'm thinking Hall of Fame. But that's interesting. I got to double check the date, but it might be the 1 year anniversary, and Lord knows what is going to happen next Wednesday. I am very fearful of what is going to go down. So this is the thing that politicians and the news are not factoring in here. You know, As far as them impeaching Trump, this is, in my opinion, a lot of politicians' way of basically, you know, you ever hear that phrase, you kick someone on the way out? Like, they despise Trump so much, they want to ruin his life as much as possible. And, you know, his speech last Wednesday, I definitely feel sparked some people, that angered some people further, which led to some of what happened. But a lot of them came prepared. A lot of them had weapons on them. A lot of them had things on them before there was a speech. So there was plans of doing stuff no matter what. And you can't turn around and say, well, the way he talked for 4 years caused this. You know, there's a lot of things that have been said by people and accusations on all sides that, you know, you can't use that. It's got to be a direct link. Otherwise, you know, you just can't do what you do. And here's the thing. I said a couple of months, well, not really. I said about a month and a half ago that even though, okay, Michael's, yeah, my first stream was January 13th. I think that was more of a test stream. But I think the 20th might have been officially the launch. But we're right around that time. Absolutely. But about 2 weeks after the election, and I've told you my views on why Biden won. I don't think there was widespread fraud. COVID was used in a way as an advantage. Trump made a tremendous mistake telling people to vote in person and not push the mail-in ballot as well. And every few weeks, there'd be a wild accusation about Trump that would piss people off and they would send in their ballots early. That's why Biden won, plain and simple. But I even said 2 weeks after the election that I think Biden should be put in office. Even if Trump and lawyers proved that there was crazy-ass fraud and this and that, you still had 70+ million vote for Biden or Trump. So you're going to piss off tens of millions of people no matter what. No matter what, you were going to piss off tens of millions of people. And when you see what is going on right now, even that James Comey guy, which I despise, he even said that maybe Biden should consider pardoning Trump. Now, that's done more of like humiliation. Like, who is this fucking guy to pardon me? You know, that's humiliation. I don't even think Trump would accept a pardon from Biden. But here's the point. When you see everything that's going on right now, 70+ million people voted for Trump. There's no way you're going to tell me that a majority of those 70 million no longer support Trump because of what happened last week. I guarantee that there are quite a few people deep down inside that are probably saying, good for what happened last week. Now you know how it felt in the city when all these people's businesses were burned. Now you know how it feels when people are being accused of this and that simply for just trying to live their lives. Now and I don't believe in bad behavior justifying other bad behavior. I don't believe that. But all this is doing is further dividing the country. It's further dividing the country. And that is not healthy. That is not healthy. You don't justify bad behavior with other bad behavior. Plain and simple. And I'm really worried what's going to happen next Wednesday, because you have tens of millions of Americans that are very angry right now. And you cannot justify it with violence, because when you stoop down to the behavior of Antifa, of rioters, you ain't any better. That's why what happened last Wednesday, for whatever reasons they thought, or if it was just people snapped, having mental breakdowns, pressure from COVID or whatever else, whatever the reason is, doesn't justify what went down. You know, people showing sympathy about that woman that got shot. It's unfortunate that she got shot and killed, but she broke into the fucking building. You know, this is the government building, you know, but that's why I stay away from this stuff, man. The more I stay away from the negativity, I stay away from, I don't watch the news. I've watched, I'm not lying when I say this, I've watched about, and Tom Murphy, what's up, my brother? Good day, my friend, in Australia right now. So how's the weather in Australia? And how's the COVID situation over there? I see some of the stuff online from abroad, from much far away from you. And, it looks a little concerning. Hope things are better over there. Zero cases. Wow, that'd be awesome. By the way, anybody ever research, I think, Finland and how they've handled COVID? I think it's Finland. I got to double check that. But Finland or Denmark or something like that. What I've seen, it just amazes me. I think it's Finland. They never shut down. And they've had like the lowest number of cases. Well, if you believe North Korea, they've had the lowest number of cases. But do I think riots are going to happen in all 50 states? I wouldn't say all 50 states, but there's going to be a lot of riots. There's going to be a lot of agitators. There's going to be a lot of people out there that want to go at it with Trump supporters. There are going to be people out there that just want to see both sides eat each other alive. There's going to be a lot of turmoil next Wednesday. That's why I hope to come up here next Wednesday, do a recap of NXT and AEW. And then if you all want to talk about it on Thursday, then absolutely. But there's going to be a lot of shit going down next Wednesday. And I just hope that it's kept to a minimum. This has been building for years and years and years on everything. But it comes to a point, and this is the problem that I see right now, comes to the point where people have to put their anger aside and leave it alone. And you see, I'm not trying to take sides right now, but you see a lot of Democrats could not resist to use this as a way to do what they've wanted to do for 4 years and not just get him out of office, ruin his life, ruin the chances of any future, silence him, silence anyone else that's even thinking about going the same path as him. They couldn't resist with that. And honestly, this country is further divided now than it was on November 3rd. And it's not just because of what happened last Wednesday. Because even if last Wednesday did not happen, shit still would go down next week. So there's just further divide, and it's not good. It's not good. But, yeah, the National Guard, seeing that is almost surreal. Let's hope, man. That's all I can say. Let's hope. And yeah, Dahak, there's virtually very few politicians that I like. What I was going to say before is I've only watched about 15 minutes of news in the last week. I saw 5 minutes of footage from what happened at the Capitol building. I mean, I've seen stuff pop up on my social media feeds, but as far as turning on the news on television, 15 minutes tops. I don't wake up to Fox News anymore. I have not watched a drop of Fox News in a week. I wake up to YouTube stuff. I wake up to cooking stuff. Sometimes I fall asleep and everything is off, which is a little odd because anybody knows my entire life I've always had to sleep with something on, like the TV. But, I stay away from it. All these politicians talk out of their ass. Andrew Yang is proving me right of what I said 3 months ago. The whole Zelina Vega thing, look where that went. This Gabriela Gutierrez, she ain't got nothing. A lot of these wrestlers know exactly what'll happen if they try to unionize. Now's the time. Now's the time. If you want to take action, you take it. And nobody is doing that. What does that tell you? He's good with everybody else's money. I like Andrew Yang, and I say that 1,000 times over, but he's good at telling you what to do with other people's money. He never does the work himself. But he'll say, oh, this, and this should happen. And then when it doesn't happen, you realize all the guy does is talk. Oh, Andrew Yang doesn't have a shot here in New York. No way. No way. I despise de Blasio. I can't stand him. Anything, Andrew Yang would be better than de Blasio, but they ain't no way. You know, when Andrew Yang suggests, I think, people move to Georgia so they could vote, that is just enough to say, okay, you could think about that to yourself, but when you think out loud and you actually write something like that or say something like that, that's it. You know, even New Yorkers have their limitations. He doesn't have a shot. No way. 316, I'm talking about Lita tomorrow. If you look at the synopsis preview for Friday's show, I put a large segment over there about what Lita said on her podcast. Just a little preview for everyone. Oh, we'll do the contest now and then we'll get out of here. You've waited long enough. I completely forgot, to be honest with you. I didn't intentionally wait till the very end. But, you know, Lita on her podcast yesterday said that WWE pretty much said, do the live sex celebration or you're fired. So I will talk about that tomorrow. I will read her quotes specifically, and I will tell you my thoughts on that. So, yeah, definitely tomorrow we'll talk about that. Rye, yeah, look, let me say one last thing about New York. Take me 1 minute, and then we'll do the contest. De Blasio and Cuomo are relying on crazy amounts of money to be given to New York from the federal government. I have customers that are owed tens of thousands of dollars in rent, and these tenants are not paying anything. There ain't no way tenants all across the United States that owe thousands and thousands and tens of thousands of dollars in rent are suddenly going to be able to pay it back in 2-3 months. You're going to see millions, if not tens of millions of people facing eviction by the late spring. So the only way to avoid that is there's got to be some type of forgiveness here or loan. One of two things are going to happen. Either the government is going to offer very low interest loans to tenants who owe back rent and can't afford it. Then what will happen is that money will go to the landlord to make them whole again, and then the tenant will have 20 or 30 years to pay back whatever they owe. That is scenario one. And mark my words, one of these two scenarios will happen. The second scenario is that there'll be some type of a fund submitted or given to New York, for example, and if a tenant cannot pay the back rent for 2020 and now because of COVID, the landlord will fill out a form, and the tenant will also have to sign the form to confirm this is the amount of money they owe, and that landlord will apply for some type of a grant that New York State would give them for the rent, and the tenant doesn't have to pay any of that back. The reason why I don't think that will happen is because that is just asking for fraud. Because all I have to do is say, hey, if anybody asks you how much rent do you pay me, you tell them $2,000, not $1,000. And then what I'll do is I'll put in a claim for $20,000. You owe me 10 months of rent at $2,000 a month, and whatever we get on top of that, we split it. What proof do you have? You can't have receipts. If I didn't pay you, there's no receipts. And yes, you could look at the rent receipts before COVID started. That is just a mess waiting to happen. You will see loans offered to tenants so the landlords get their money, the tenants are not evicted, and who knows, the tenant may even get a loan at a few extra thousand to help them for the next couple of months. You mark my words, that will happen. I know it's awful, but that's why, and I'm not saying this to brag, but that's why in February I had decisions to make. You know, do I sit back, kind of take this as a vacation, you know, cut down on a workload, you know, spend some more time online, doing some shows, playing some games, relax, take it easy, and, whatever comes in, comes in? Or do I not let this virus put me in tremendous debt, turn my life upside down, and, okay, I don't like carrying groceries. I don't like carrying cases of water up 3-4 flights of stairs. I don't like going in hallways of buildings that I don't know who lives there, that who knows what's floating around in the air. I don't like delivering 8 bags of groceries to someone's house and I don't even get a thank you. Oh, just leave it in front of the door. No tip, no nothing. I don't need tips, but it's just the respect factor. Tell you one quick story. True story. This happened about 10 years ago. You'll actually appreciate this story. About 10 years ago, a guy walks into my office, Haitian guy. And he comes into my office and he's like, hello, my friend. Oh, I was recommended by so-and-so. I need you to help me with insurance. Okay. I sent him up a livery insurance policy. He's got a van, dollar van. He picks up people for dollars. What dollar vans do is they go bus routes. And instead of people getting on a bus, they'll hop on a van. The van will take them where they got to go in the near vicinity, and they charge $1. That's what a dollar van does. So I go and I start setting him up for insurance. At the very beginning, he says to me, oh, you're a Progressive representative. I wrote Progressive at the time. I said, yeah, I write Progressive. Why? He says, I got a problem that someone asked me, maybe you can help me with. And I said, what's the problem? Long story short, he got into a car accident about 9 months earlier, and the car was totaled. And the insurance broker that he had told him that even though you don't have a car right now, if you're going to get another car, you got to keep the insurance going. So he thought he was going to get another car in a month or two. Next thing you know, 9 months go by, has no car, but he's been paying insurance. Like $3,000-$4,000 worth of insurance. When he told me the story, I said, wait a minute. So you paid car insurance for 9 months, but you didn't have a car. I thought he was whacked out of his mind. But I got a copy of the policy and I looked at it. You say that fast 10 times. You stay safe, also ride black. Ride black. What's up, brother? So I thought the guy was whacked out of his mind. I get a copy of the policy. And sure enough, he's telling me the truth. So he said to me at the very beginning, he says, somebody told me you could help me with that. I said, okay, let me see what I could do. I call up Progressive, and I say to Progressive, I tell him the story, and the woman thought I was insane. And I'm like, look, I know I write for you, Progressive, and I know this is awkward, but if there's any way you can refund some of this customer's money, I said he would greatly appreciate it because obviously he was taken advantage by the other broker, paid car insurance for 9 months and had no car. So the rep says, all right, let me see what I can do. And I said, look, I really appreciate it. Whatever you could do, anything's better than nothing. They ended up giving him back the entire 9 months worth of insurance. Got almost $4,000 back. He calls me up on the phone. Oh my God, I cannot believe it. I can't believe that you were able to do this. You don't know how much this means to me and blah, 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 blah. I'm like, look, I'm glad it happened to you. And he's like, are you going to be in tomorrow? And I'm like, yeah. He says, I got to bring you something. I'm like, no, you don't have to do anything. He's like, no, I didn't even think I would get a penny, but you got me back all my money. I got to do something for you. I said, all right, I'll be in the next day. He comes into my office, and he's got a bag. Didn't think anything of it. And he says, oh, I want to thank you again. You know, somebody told me that you could help me with this. And, you know, sure enough, you helped me and this and that. So he gives me a bag. And I didn't even open it. I put it aside. I'm like, you're very welcome. You're very welcome. He's like, well, look, I'm late. I got to do things. I just wanted to thank you again. He leaves. I had a customer in the office, and the customer said to me, like, what did you do? I told him the story, and he's like, are you serious? The guy paid 9 months? Was he stupid? I'm like, hey, he got taken for a ride from the broker. So he's like, you could open what he gave you? I mean, you got him $4,000. You're like, what do you think he gave you? What do you think? I opened the bag. Inside the bag was a bagel and a cup of coffee. Now, I appreciate anything, but if I just got you back $4,000 and you thought you were getting nothing, and you think a cup of coffee and a bagel is the way to repay me, I threw the bagel in the garbage and I poured the coffee out. I didn't say anything to him, but I was like, this is what I got. Do you know, about 10 days later, the insurance policy I set up for him for the livery, I got a paper in the mail that he switched to another broker. So he was looking for livery insurance for his dollar van, but he came to me, had me set it up, used me to get him money back on a Progressive policy because I wrote with Progressive. He got the money back, gave me a cup of coffee and a bagel, and then took the new livery policy and went to another broker. That's why, like I say, you know, you got to do things for yourself. And in February, you make a concerted effort. It's not fun doing all this stuff and not getting anything or even a thank you and this and that. And I sometimes go way overboard for people that I know appreciate it. Then sometimes you do a lot of work for people and they could care less. You know, and the day you stop is the day that, you know, I'm the asshole or the bad guy. So back in February, you know, my mind was, do I let COVID, you know, cause a little disarray, but in the end, the state will give me money and, you know, that'll be the end of it? Or do I do something about it? And that's what I did. I mean, I have more debt now than I did a year ago, no question, but I would have had tremendously more debt if I didn't take steps. That's why few people in my neighborhood think that it's a little fucked up that I'm getting the vaccine at my age, because now they're saying vaccines may not be available in New York until April if they don't get more doses. I worked off and on for the grocery store for the whole year. I never took off. My insurance office, I'm at risk because I have customers coming and going, and I don't know what they're doing before they come in, who they've seen over the weekend, so I've been around people the entire time. So, VJ, sometimes I'm too nice, but sometimes I am a sucker. That guy, if I saw him today, I probably would joke with him and I'd be like, you know, man, that was, you got to admire somebody like that has balls. I mean, think about that. You got to give the guy a little credit to have balls that much to actually walk into my office with a cup of coffee and a bagel thinking that is legit or fair payback for getting him back 9 months worth of insurance he thought he lost. So, Rye Black is asking, what is the best pizza in New York? Well, I can't speak for the entire New York state. Yet last week I gave a huge recommendation for New Park Pizza. Unfortunately, that pizza is well known for the wrong reasons, which I talked about last week. But you want to know something? I've actually heard about Louie and Ernie's, if that's the pizzeria. I know it's Louie and something, and it's Crosby Avenue. That's in Brooklyn. I think, no, that's the Bronx. Crosby Avenue is the Bronx, yeah. In fact, I think Santana and Ortiz are from that area, believe it or not. They're from, I tell you, that's memories, man. Going to the Bronx and hanging out with like Isi Negro and some of those guys from the Doghouse wrestling and hanging out in the Bronx, wee hours in the morning, man. I just remember the highway and the long stretches of road, man. But, so anyway, listen, before we get out of here, let's do the contest. I got to pull up the notes. All right, now, like I said, whoever answers it right, the first person that answers it right, will get this signed photo from Carrying Cross and this signed photo from Scarlett. You get both. I don't care if you live in New York I don't care if you live in the Bahamas. I don't care if you live in Australia, Ecuador, Iraq. I ship it. If you are enjoying the show and you support what I do, you have every right to every contest, no matter where you live. So this is open to anyone. If someone happens to win it and you don't want it, you're more than happy to give it to someone else. You're more than happy to pick someone in the chat room. You could put it on eBay, whatever you want to do. Whoever wins, you could get that prize. So now, this was something I thought about tonight. And, I hope nobody thinks it's a trick question. It's not. It's a who am I? And I promise you, the person that I chose is someone we have seen on pro wrestling television over the last year or two. I won't say that he was on TV many times, but we've seen him on TV within the last year or two. So what I am going to do is I am going to I'm going to pull up my hints, and I will tell you, I will be blown away. I have here 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 hints. So there is absolutely no reason why somebody can't get this within these hints. Think about it. And like I said, the first person that gets it right gets the prizes. So you could start getting ready to type. And I'm going to go through these hints. I'll pick them at random. Some of them are going to sound like maybe more than one person, and that's done by design. I came up with this myself. I don't know how people react to the person, but I think this is fair enough. So, hint number 1. Oh, shit. Hint number 1. I am the son of a legendary Hall of Famer. Hint number 2. I have held over 40 championship titles. Hint number 3. I trained early in my career at Stu Hart's dungeon. So far, nothing. So far, nobody's gotten it right. Let's see another hint. Okay. My last wrestling match was in 2018. Throughout my career, I was ranked number 1 in Pro Wrestling Illustrated's most hated wrestler of the year. I was ranked number 1 3 times, 3 different years, number 1 for the entire year. Not some bad choices so far, but nobody's got it right. All right, we're getting closer to crunch time. If nobody gets it after 10 hints, we got a problem here. I once won, or I should change that around. One time in my career, I was awarded the World Heavyweight Championship, but the company I work for refused to acknowledge me as the heavyweight champion. Okay, how many hints I have left? I have 4 hints left. When I start throwing these around, you'll get it. My wrestling career has spanned 5 decades. Remember, my last match was 2018. So if it spanned 5 decades, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, 2010s. I don't think Dolph Ziggler was wrestling in the 70s. Maybe he was wrestling in his diapers if he was born in the 70s. All right, we got 3 hints left. My last televised appearance was on an episode of AEW Dynamite. My brother-in-law is from a legendary pro wrestling tag team. All right, 2 hints left. So far, nothing. Hey, this is better than I thought it would be. All right, here's the last 2 hints. The figure 4 leg lock was one of my favorite finishers, although I'm not known for just the figure 4 leg lock. Stop! We got a winner. We got a winner. We got a winner. Stop. Mr. Mike. Let me review. Let me go back a little bit. Mr. Mike. Hold on. I think Mr. Mike got it. I'm checking, going through the archive. I'm looking right now. Yep. Mr. Mike got it. Mr. Mike got it. Greg the Hammer Valentine. Remember, he was shown on Dynamite for the chain match. Remember the chain match? Greg the Hammer Valentine, son of a legendary Hall of Famer wrestler, obviously trained in the Stu Dungeon in the early 70s, held over 40 championships in his career, was ranked number 1 as the most hated wrestler in Pro Wrestling Illustrated 3 times in his career. His brother-in-law is, I think, Brian Knobbs of the Nasty Boys. He once won, he beat Bob Backlund in 1981 for the WWF Championship. Actually, Bob Backlund pinned him, but the referee was knocked for a loop. The referee thought that Greg Valentine won, awarded the title of Greg Valentine. WWF would not acknowledge it. They had a rematch a month later, and Backlund beat him. His wrestling career spanned 5 decades. His last match was in 2018 on the indie circuit. Used a figure 4 leg lock, obviously, and his last televised appearance was on Dynamite, sitting in the audience. So, my friend, either DM me, actually email me, dontony@dontony.com. And see, that's one of the cool things in the future when we start doing the memberships. And I'm not doing this as a play on the memberships, trust me. When you see what is offered as far as cost, we're going to be giving it right back into the shows, but that community section, it'll be a lot easier to communicate because YouTube doesn't have like DMs and stuff like that. But so that's it. That's it. Again, I am sorry that we waited till the very end of the show to do that contest, but I completely forgot. And you know what, Mystery Man? If somebody Googled it, that's cool. You know what I mean? That many hints, nothing wrong with that. It's something to think about. But I was thinking about Greg the Hammer Valentine the other day, and I just thought about his appearance on Dynamite, and I said, he would actually be a fun trivia contest with the Who Am I? And when I started thinking about his career and I went through his resume, I said, okay, about him being the son of a Hall of Famer, many wrestlers come to mind, him being awarded the title, but then the company didn't recognize it. I thought, everybody's going to think Jericho. But then you catch them off guard when you say wrestled in 5 decades. Then people start saying, okay, wait a minute, that's the 70s then. So, anyway. All right, everybody, I'm going to jet out of here. So, believe it or not, we actually finished an hour less than last week. But, I had fun tonight. Great conversation. I thank you all for stopping by and chatting for a little bit. We had some hilarious moments, obviously, with the Lenny stuff. We had some serious convo as well. And we had a whole bunch of little things sprinkled in. And we will definitely do it again a week from today. Hopefully next Thursday's episode won't have to do too much with riots or wild shit going down, but I'm a little fearful of it. All I say to all of you out there is stay safe, be strong, be careful. I don't care where you live, United States or beyond, everybody is being affected, in some way, physically, emotionally, and just keep focused, man. The worst is just about over. The more, and that's one thing about Biden. I truthfully believe Biden is going to do something that is going to force tens of millions of doses to be released to the general public. I think you'll see things expedited from Johnson & Johnson. And Biden will do this for some political reasons, to basically take credit for a lot of what Trump did leading up to this point. And honestly, if I was Biden, I'd do the very same thing. So you saw, and here's one thing I'll tell you before we go. When I set up the vaccine for my parents on Monday, their qualification, because they're not 75 yet, they're 72. Their qualification was that they work in a grocery store. My mom, a couple of other issues too, but my father, for the most part, his only qualification was that he works in a grocery store. After I signed up, the next day, they lowered the age, the requirement age to get the vaccine from 75 to 65, which made them qualified and everybody else qualified. So when I booked the appointment, all I had to use was that they were over 65. So by next week, you're going to see in a lot of states these qualifications for the vaccine lowered even more. You're going to see it lowered for where young people could get the vaccine now also. So, hey, 90s guy, if you tune in late, it's all good. Just check the rewind, and trust me, I think everybody here, if you want a good laugh, I mean, you might be here for serious talk, you might be here for just random wrestling stuff. If one of your intentions was to come here for laughs, the chat room, I think, will acknowledge right now that there is one part of the show tonight that lasted about 12, 13 minutes long that people were almost urinating on the floor. So you will laugh. You will laugh. I promise you. So you'll know what that moment is when it comes. But anyway, everyone, I'm going to jet out of here. So for everyone out there that may have tuned in late, or if you're looking for an audio-only version of today, I will have it online probably within the next 20 minutes or so. Wow, it's almost 1 a.m. So, I got to say one last thing before we go. I should have opened up the show talking about this. If you notice, this week, the show started 1 hour later. Last week, we started at 9 o'clock. My original intention was to do the show at 9:05. That was the time that a majority of you out there said you'd be good with. It was either 9 or 10. Mish, Wrestling Soup, does their show from 7:30 p.m. Eastern to 9 p.m. Eastern. So I thought, okay, even if they run 5-10 minutes over, doesn't really interfere over here, and vice versa, because we do intro and this and that. So I figured, okay, Soup ends right around 9-ish. I'll start right around 9-ish. Well, Mish approached me on Tuesday and said, look, they sometimes do after shows, where after the show is done, they stay for an extra amount of time and they chat with everybody. So they could sometimes end to like 9:30 or further. So I said, okay, I'll change the time to 10:05. This way, Soup could go as long as they want. And then this show starts at 10:05. Funny thing is that tonight, their show ended at 9:07, and they did no after chat. So we could have started at 9:05 after all. So I don't know if we're going to stick with 10:05. I'm thinking maybe 9:30 might be a good time. It's like right in the middle, and that's more than enough time, even if they go late. But few of you active out there have pointed out to me, it is pretty smooth. Wednesdays is 10:05. Fridays is 10:05. So if Thursdays is 10:05, you got 10:05, 10:05, 10:05. Which, yeah, if you look at it as a schedule, that is pretty steady. It might look a little awkward. Monday, 11:05. Wednesday, 10:05. Thursday, 9:35. Friday, 10:05. Now it looks like a mess. So, I don't know. We'll see during the week. And we'll play it by ear. I will let everybody know probably by Monday what time we'll start next Thursday. Look, if you're all cool with 10:05, even if we end the shows a little bit earlier from now on, that's fine with me. But if like 9:30 seems better for all of you out there, let me know. And I'll change the time for 9:30. So, all right, everybody. As I always say, before you go, if you enjoyed today's episode, I appreciate it if you hit that like button. Can't do it more than once, obviously, but if you smash that like button, because that helps the channel more than you know. It does alert YouTube that you recommend the show, and they will recommend it to others, and that's how the chain reaction starts. I've had a couple of episodes. I forget which pay-per-view it was, but a lot of people loved it and liked it early on. And the next thing you know, it was a recommended video, because there is analytics that we see on how people access the show. It'll show you if it's a recommended video by YouTube, if it's somebody that's subscribed, if it's an outside source. And that pay-per-view ended up getting like 20-some-odd thousand views. And I was like, damn, I got a lot of new people tuned in, but they pretty much only watched, once, one channel. Not everybody tunes in all the time. So the likes do help, because that's really our way of telling YouTube, you like the show and you should recommend it to someone else. So anyway, I'm going to get out of here. I've taken enough of your time for tonight. So if you're around Friday night, right after SmackDown, I will be right here giving you a SmackDown recap. We'll talk about Lita. We will talk about Impact, do some quick predictions, and whatever transpires between today and tomorrow. So good night, everybody. Be well. Much love as always, and thank you for tuning in. And it's cool. 2 weeks in a row, man. I think we hit a home run with this. So now we just got to settle on a name. So I want to have a name by the end of the month. So I'm going to start really sinking in all your suggestions. And if anyone out there is late to the game that wants to put up a suggestion, actually, by the magic of technology, if you go back, what are we now? 2 hours, 47 minutes. When I go like this, you will see a link. It'll be the January 1st episode of the Don Tony Show, 1/1/21. You can't make it any easier. There is that episode. That is where everybody is leaving their ideas for names for the show. Because we want to keep it all in one area so everybody can see it. A lot of people are reacting to some of the ideas out there. And, we will be giving away a pretty cool prize on top of it. So, all right, everybody, I'm out of here. Have a great night. I'll see you Friday night after SmackDown. Be well, everybody. Take care.